We're having certain players speak, and I didn't know who it was going to be. And right now things are bad, so they only want to put out certain people. And so Derrick Henry met with the media today. And again, want to remind people that yesterday it was well documented. We went over how cranky Mike Vrabel was. I actually had a person come up to me at the arena yesterday after we were done with the show and said to me, I was listening on my drive into the game. I heard what Vrabel said to Teresa Walker. I can't believe he said that.
I mean, I think that everyone is shocked by it, as they should be.
Yeah, you're really mad about that.
Well, I mean, it's rude.
And so, again, Vrabel it wasn't completely un-Vrabel-like. Like, it was kind of, Vrabel when he's at his worst.
It was Vrabel adjacent.
Byard was completely Byard.
That was, I don't even recognize you, Kevin Byard. Yeah.
So Derrick Henry today, I'm listening to the press conference, and I don't think Derrick Henry's going to say anything because Derrick Henry never says anything. So I'm like, okay, Derrick Henry, it's going to be a lot of, we just have to get better. And, maybe every now and then he'll say something to Paul and everybody will laugh. Ian, if you could, let's start with Derrick Henry 5. I want to start. This was after the Jags loss. This is what Derrick Henry normally sounds like when he is at the podium speaking. This was Derrick Henry 8 days ago after they lost to the Jags.
Coach always says culture is not built on when everything is going good. It's built on when, you're at your worst. Like, how's our culture going to, withstand, with everything going bad. And I think leadership just need to step up. I need to step up and, just rally together, stay together. Like I said, we've been through adversity before. This one is definitely tough, but all you can do is just make corrections, get better, and go out there and try to win the game and, work throughout the week, make each other better and, continue to do those things. I've been saying over and over the past couple of weeks, but, that's all it is to it. That's all you can do.
Okay. Fine.
Awfully optimistic.
Sure,
yeah.
But, very monotone and just kind of.
We'll go back in. We'll keep working.
So here was Derrick Henry today. This is the first cut of Derrick Henry today.
Throughout the last 4 weeks, have you seen the energy in practice and transferring the game? Have you seen that consistent? And then is it the same, as you guys came into the building this week to prepare for this game?
Our energy is always going to be the same. We got to come to work. We got to get better. And I think that's been the main focus. I think guys have been positive and want to do whatever they can to, get us better and, help us, go out there and get a win. And I think the guys have the same positive attitude this week.
So there's Derrick Henry, who's just like, our energy's the same. It's always high. It's like, wait, what? And so then Corey Curtis asked a question, and this is what got me. When I was watching the press conference on the stream, and as Corey was talking, Derrick Henry rolled his eyes at him, and I was like, oh, my God. This was the follow-up after that, Corey Curtis asking Derrick about the 4-game losing streak.
First 4-game skid you guys have been on since you've been here. Has that changed the mood in there?
Has it changed the mood? Since I just said everybody has positive energy and nobody's going to be negative. That doesn't help anything. Guys just got to come back, go to work and get better. Try to go out and get a win.
I just said everybody's got the same energy.
I told you I'm positive.
So then Jim Wyatt asks a question to Derrick Henry, and listen to how fed up Derrick gets.
David asked you about the short week. What is the challenge when you do have a short week and you come off a West Coast trip and Tuesday should be a day off for you. Instead, you're on the practice field. What do you have to do, I guess, mentally, physically, as a team to get ready to play?
I guess prepare. We played on Thursday. We just played on Saturday, one day closer. So I don't think nothing changed as far as what we do and how we prepare. I just think you just got to be locked in and focused.
What do you have to do? Prepare? What do we make of Derrick Henry's attitude today?
See, I struggle with this because Derrick Henry is pretty monotone every single time he gets up in front of the media. And the content and the subject matter that he is talking about is pretty on par with Derrick Henry's. We got to keep going. We got to prepare. We got to do our best. We got to keep working. But the tone sounds different. The tone sounds very
dismissive.
Okay, we're going to prepare.
Well, it's like I put in the show outline. I think it's like a 16-year-old girl at dinner when the parents are like, I don't know if you were like this, but it's like, Caroline, how was school today?
Fine.
Mom, I don't want to talk about it. Derek's not the greatest talker of all time.
He never has been.
He's very monotone. But am I incorrect in thinking that the tone that is still mono was less than the monotone that we're used to from Derrick Henry? Maybe it was the eye roll at Corey Curtis that I got that I was like, whoa.
When did he roll his eyes?
As Corey was talking in that question. Ian, if we could get cut to up again. When Corey was talking, Derrick was looking down the entire press conference, and then when Corey starts talking, he looks up and just kind of rolls his eyes and then goes back to looking down. If we can get that cut, again, I almost think that you can hear Derrick roll his eyes during this question.
First 4 games you guys have been on since you've been here. Has that changed the mood in there?
Has it changed the mood since I just said everybody has positive energy and nobody's going to be negative?
I just said everybody has positive energy. Can't you tell from my energy?
Go to work and get better. Try to go out and get a win.
You see what okay, so now this is the way I'm looking at it. You got Vrabel's press conference yesterday that I thought was the whiniest baby press conference that he has done since he's been the coach in the 5 years he's been the coach. You got Byard after the game sitting there talking about how, it doesn't look like we can beat anybody right now. And then you've got Derrick Henry that just, again, this isn't the first press conference Derrick Henry has ever done in his life. This is not something new. If Derrick was a media hater like Marshawn Lynch, we would know about it. Derrick's fine. And yet this one, I'm just telling you that there's a lot of smoke that's brewing up in these press conferences. And Derrick's today, I did not even think. I had the whole outline figured out of what we were going to talk about before I heard Derrick Henry's press conference, because I figured there was going to be nothing in there. And then just listening to that press conference and watching it and the body language from Henry, which obviously we can't explain on the radio, but the body language, it was just so dismissive. He was so irritated. It was so, I'm trying to say the right words here, but something is up. And that was kind of my big takeaway from Derrick Henry's attitude today.
And that response there, the words that he is saying, I don't think are out of the ordinary at all. It's kind of positive. It has a positive inflection, but the way that he's saying it, and every press conference or clip that I have heard since the Chargers game, I've gone into it and thinking, do I have a bias of I think that everybody in this organization is frustrated, or are they actually frustrated?
Frustrations onto the type.
Exactly. My belief of what's going on inside the building. Do I have a bias going into it? So I'm conscious of this going into listening to Vrabel's press conferences, Derrick Henry's press conferences, so on and so forth. I'll do the same thing with Todd Downing's press conference tomorrow. And then also, if I do feel like they're frustrated, I have to ask myself, is this just we're 0-4 in the last 4, and I'm just angry, and I just want to get back out against the Texans and get in the win column, or is there more going on there? And I can't answer that question. But that's what I'm trying to decipher through everybody's body language and the things that they're saying and the way that they speak about this team. Is it something that can be solved simply by winning, or is there more there?
Well, if that's the case, if winning is going to turn Derrick Henry's frown upside down, or is going to change his eye roll into better body language, then they have a bunch of front runners. And what happened to no front runners? What happened to culture is built when you're at your worst, not when you're at your best.
Is that front runners, though, being frustrated after being on a 4-game losing streak?
I think showing the frustration is being a front runner.
Yeah.
I only have a good attitude when things are good.
There's been a lot of showing frustration.
Nobody ever.
And Derrick Henry tried. He tried to sound positive there. The words were he tried to sound positive.
The one with the Corey about, again, this is the second or third. I said everybody has the same energy. It's like, damn, dude, you didn't have to do him like that. Poor Corey. Corey's just trying. Corey asked him about Dennis Daly, about how social media is all over Dennis Daly. If we can get that one, Ian. No defense of Dennis Daly whatsoever in this question. This was, and I think it's a fair question to ask for somebody to defend Dennis Daly, because I'm going to do it later. But this was Corey asking Derrick Henry about people on social media annihilating Dennis Daly.
Social media can be a pretty unmerciful place. Do you talk to the offensive line, Dennis, about? They're under fire all the time. Tell them to tune that out, or
about social media.
Yeah, the fans have been pretty tough on them.
I don't I'm not really caught up in social media. It's not really something that I'm looking at or put into what I got going on, so I don't really know. I don't pay attention to it.
He defended Twitter more than he defended Dennis Daly.
Mom, I don't want to talk about it today. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like a 16-year-old at the dinner table where the parents are just trying to start up some small talk, and the 16-year-old wants no part of it. No part of it. Just like my mom does this. I mean, I'm 33, and my mom will ask me questions about how my friends are doing. So when so-and-so going to get engaged? I'm like,
Mom, I don't know.
I'm like, what am I supposed to be like? Hey, when do you get engaged?
My mom wants to know.
But everybody knows that frustration, and that is what Derrick Henry sounded like today. And I've never heard that before. And so I got Vrabel, going to the outer reaches of total tchotchness, which he brought it back today. Big Mike definitely was a more positive person today.
But still wasn't necessarily sunshine and rainbows.
No.
But just wasn't coming for people.
And so that, make of that what you will. Byard after the game, again, I don't think we can beat anybody. And then Derrick today with the social media, I don't look at social media. I mean, that's like, how about, hey, I believe in those guys. Dennis is doing a great job. I mean, that's not that hard. All right, 615-737-1025. We'll get your reaction to this. Something, I thought Caroline said it great. Are we projecting our own frustrations onto the Titans players, or is something up? And I vote something's up. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. By the way, things are not going well for one Thomas Edward Brady Jr. either, the greatest quarterback who ever lived, the guy who never loses. His team stinks. And you should hear his attitude compared to the Titans' attitude. We'll get to that coming up. Stillman and Company, rocking and rolling, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Your home for the MTSU Blue Raiders is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Every touchdown.
Yes, touchdown.
Every three.
Free ball, yes, sir.
It all lives here.
Middle Tennessee.
You can also hear the Blue Raiders in the Borough on 97.5, Middle Tennessee Athletics on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
If you missed the latest from Robbie and Rex Road.
One thing I do want to, Caroline mentioned, last segment. I mean, I personally, I disagree, on taking what Vrabel does with us and taking that to the locker room. I couldn't disagree more. Vrabel is what he is with us, right? Vrabel does not like media, okay? I actually, from what I've heard about Vrabel as a player at Ohio State, his future employer,
his future home.
I'd say he's come in his past home. I'd say he's come a long way in less hatred of media. Now, it's a necessary evil he has to deal with, and he's prickly and all that stuff. But to take that to the locker room, I don't know. You tell me if you agree. I don't see how there's any correlation at all. If anything, when coaches are like that to media, I think players often enjoy that. So to me, I would take those two things and completely divorce them. But they're also, I thought actually Vrabel was, and I know we're going to get to that next segment. Caroline had a really good question yesterday, asking about play calling, and very direct, simple question. And his answer to that, again, we'll get to it. It was the answer of someone who he was certainly uncomfortable. I guess defensive maybe, but he was certainly uncomfortable with the question. It was very strange to see it and hear it in the moment. But I don't know. You tell me. First of all, I can't take any of this stuff, Vrabel and media, and apply it to locker room.
No, I don't take it that way either. Look, I think not just Mike Vrabel. I think pretty much every coach you're going to run across, not all of them, but pretty much all of them, what they do and the way that they act in front of the media and the way that they talk and act in front of the team are two pretty different things.
Tune in Robbie and Rex with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on ESPN, 102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Hal Gill here for my friends at Dunkin'. Everyone celebrates the holidays in their own special way, but you go twice as hard as everyone else. So does Dunkin', which is why they've created 2 espresso-rich holiday signature lattes. The minty, cocoa-dusted peppermint mocha and creamy cinnamon sugary toasted white chocolate lattes are handcrafted with bold espresso and topped with whipped cream to help you do the most this year. So swing by the newly remodeled Dunkin' on Bradley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and grab one today on the double.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
We don't need to keep guys in. We just need to play better. We need to coach and get them going. And, this isn't a cheerleading contest. This is figure out who you got, get 48 guys ready for the game. Like, this isn't a rah-rah. This is go out and execute, do the things that help you win and eliminate some of the things that end up costing you. Because you can see when we do it well and we play complementary, that we have a chance to do things. We got to stop on defense. We got, sitting there at first and goal, or not first and goal, but first and 10 on maybe the 20-yard line, and then, go backwards and miss a kick. So would like to have some of those things over.
This ain't a cheerleading competition here. This ain't rah-rah, let's go, team, go. Even though last week the Coach's TV show was all about nothing's broken, and we all have to have positive attitudes around here. That was the theme last week. Now the theme this week is...
Put your pom-poms
who
away.
Who cared? It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. So you got Vrabel doing that, and his just sour press conference yesterday, which was embarrassing for him, his press conference. Byard after the game, the most defeated that I've ever heard Kevin Byard, basically sounding like a guy in the text line, talking about how he doesn't care about the division if they're just going to get beat in the first round of the playoffs. And then you've got Derrick Henry with his eyes down the entire press conference, not wanting to talk to the media. Like, hey, what do you do? 4-game losing streak. What do you? I already said we all have the same energy. So something is, this is just my opinion. The negativity is just oozing right now off of every single player and coach. And I understand, they don't like to lose and they get embarrassed with how they lose. And, this is how divides start. Again, it's easy when you win. But listen to Tom Brady's Let's Go podcast on
SiriusXM.
There you go. Tom Brady's podcast on SiriusXM. The Let's Go podcast. And Jim Gray. Now, these are softball questions from Jim Gray. But Jim Gray was asking Brady about all the losing and the fact that the Buccaneers freaking stink. And Brady did not shy away from it. And this is not what I hear come out of the leaders of the Titans' mouths. This is Tom Brady.
There's ways you can handle adversity. One is you point fingers at other people, which we don't do. Another thing you do is you quit. And that's not what we do. Another thing is you point a finger at yourself. And that's what we do. I got to do a better job. And I got to be better for my team. I got to be better for our organization. I got to be better for our fans. All it does is motivate me to work harder, and this is what resilience is all about.
Have you heard anybody over the last 3 days say that about the Titans?
I have heard a lot of finger pointing, but no campaigning for anti-finger pointing.
And I understand that in Vrabel's role, it's not as easy as an individual player just saying, I need to be better, because Vrabel has asked specific questions about players, and he's asked specific questions about coaches, and he can't say Todd needs to be better or Roger McCreary needs to be better.
And
or
Vrabel saying I need to be
better.
better is not sufficient.
Right. And plus, when Vrabel's done it so many times that it's so half-assed that it's literally just like, we got to coach better.
He says that every week.
Right. Now, Brady continued about this entitlement to winning, which I do think has happened here. I think that when the winning general manager, who has the same win percentage as Bill Walsh, gets fired because people get mad about A.J. Brown being traded, I do think that is a sign of entitlement for winning. And Brady, who has done nothing in his life except for win, brings up the fact that, hey, you got to stop acting like winning is owed to you. This was Brady again on the Let's Go podcast.
You know, why should we feel like we're just entitled to win all the time? We're not. That's not what life's about. You know, and I think anyone who's gone through life and struggles at their job or struggles in other aspects of life, when you do put effort and energy into it, you know, what are you learning from that as opposed to, you know, why is that happening to you and for you? You know, why you're not a victim of that. We're not a victim of losing games. The sun came up today. We got something to do about it. We woke up. We have a chance. Why, you know, this is not the time to, you know, feel sorry for yourself. So get up, go into work and make it better and improve it and work harder and work more determined. And, you know, it's so easy to throw in the towel. It's so easy. That's what most people want. It's why you listen on TV and, oh, it's what you should have done. Well, yeah, if you're a loser, that's what you should do. You should just fold the tent when things don't go the way you want. That's not the way life is.
I don't hear that from the Titans.
That sounds like that could be a poster on like a high school football team weight room.
Yeah.
Like,
If
get
you're
up
a
and do the work.
loser, you know, the guys say, I mean, in all seriousness, Brady has won more than every single person that is involved in the Titans organization. These people have their jobs because of Tom Brady. John Robinson had his job because of Tom Brady. Mike Vrabel has his job because of Tom Brady. I think we can all say that comfortably, right?
Probably so, yeah.
Okay, so Tom Brady has won more than every single person in the history of the NFL. In fact, he's pretty much won more than every single person in the history of competitive sports. And so here's Tom Brady, and he's just like, and they stink. That team
They are truly
freaking stinks. And so instead, you don't hear the negativity and the, you know, talking to Teresa Walker like, you know, if that's what you think, I'm really disappointed in what you know about football. You've got Brady sitting there basically being like, I need to play better. We have to worry about what's next. We can't worry about what's behind us. We have to worry about, hey, we lost to the Bengals. Sun comes up. We're still leading our division. We have to go to work. We have to. And I haven't heard that from the Titans. And this goes all back to that crossroads comment that Vrabel made after the Philadelphia game, where I was floored and said, that's media talk. That's not football guy talk. Football guy talk is exactly what Brady said, which is, all right, things aren't going well. We can do one of three things. We can point fingers at each other, which we don't do. We can point, what was the second one? We can quit, which we don't do. Or we can point fingers at ourselves, which we do. And that's what resiliency is. And then Brady is saying, hey, sun came up today. We've got to figure out what we're going to do for tomorrow. Not, our season's at a crossroads and I don't know what we're going to do and I don't, you know what I mean? Like that, something's wrong with this team. And Brady just embodied to me everything that I don't hear right now from the losing Titans.
And Brady's saying those things, it doesn't mean that the Buccaneers are going to turn their season around, win the division, make a run in the playoffs.
No, because they still suck.
And that kind of mentality doesn't mean that you are going to, you know, seal your win into the playoffs and make a run for the Super Bowl. But what it does do is it at least proves to me whether Brady actually believes it or not. It tells me that he at least believes in this team. That he at least feels like, look, we have not won a whole lot of games, but that doesn't mean that we can't win the next one. And it at least gives me, like, if I'm a Buccaneers fan hearing that, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, get back up, keep playing. Your job's not done yet.
What if you're a Buccaneers player?
That same thing. Mm-hmm. We're not done yet. You're right. We lost a whole bunch of games, but we're not done yet. And it gives me the idea that he is giving that same kind of pump up speech to everybody else in the locker room. They're like, yeah, you know what? Even though we've been 0-4 in the last 4 games, we got to win this game and we can turn things around. Our season's not over yet. And not I don't even care about the division because we're just going to lose in the playoffs. Like, that is such boo-hoo talk.
So when they won their second Super Bowl, the Patriots, there was a documentary about it. You know, I've read all the books and I've seen all the documentaries. And in it, Rodney Harrison said, now Rodney Harrison is probably like the most direct guy. I mean, he will tell you what he thinks. He said that when the Patriots got the ball for the last drive, he went over to Ty Law and started talking to Ty Law about, okay, if this goes to overtime, what adjustments do we need to make? And Ty Law sitting on the bench and goes, it's not going to overtime. And Rodney Harrison's like, what do you mean it's not going to overtime? And Ty Law goes, we got Tom Brady. And Brady goes down the field, and Vinatieri makes the kick, and they win the Super Bowl. And so when it comes to the playoffs in the NFC, right now, whether it's Dallas or the Giants or whomever is in that competition in the NFC, whoever gets the 5 seed knows they draw Tom Brady in the first round. And the Buccaneers, again, let me say this, they freaking suck.
They're really bad.
And I guarantee you, if I'm the Cowboys, I don't want any part of Tom Brady. And that right there is exactly why I don't want Tom Brady. Like those Tom Brady cuts. Because what that tells me is that regardless of how bad that team is, and they're bad and they're injured, that no matter how bad or how injured or how fat I almost said Leonard Baguette because that's what Shannon Sharp calls him. Leonard Fournette. No
Leonard Baguette?
That's what Shannon Sharp
calls
him.
That is hilarious.
Good boy, he got fat.
Yeah, he's chunky.
He got fat.
He's thick.
That no matter how fat he is, that
can't
Tom
count him
Brady,
out.
you cannot do that. And that would scare me. With the Titans, we were a big in Vrabel we trust kind of thing. I think that that's gone right now. I don't think that those players are looking at it and say, hey, we've got Mike Vrabel, and Mike Vrabel's going to lead us out of this. I don't think that at all.
Well, and I think the whole thing that led us to believe in Vrabel we trust was that because Vrabel had this certain, aura about him of you can never count us out. We are going to out-tough all of you. And that really trickled down into the entire team. But now I fear the same thing that we always believed in with Vrabel, that his mindset is the team's mindset. Maybe we're looking at the other side of that right now. That his mindset of, I don't know what's going on with the future of this team. I don't know who our general manager is. We just lost 4 games in a row. I feel so defeated that's a trickle-down effect with this team as well.
I'm not ruling it out. 615-737-1025. I've been threatening your phones, and we will go to them next. 615-737-1025. Caroline, though, wants to tell you about the Caesars Sportsbook app.
Yep, it is time for the Caesars Sportsbook Report. Now, Caesars has tons of odds, boosts, and promos going on every day. But your very first bet with the Caesars Sportsbook app is on Caesars up to $1,250. Just sign up using the promo code RadioFull. One word, RadioFull, and then place your first bet. And if you win, that money is all yours. But if not, you'll get that stake back as a free bet. Nice little Christmas present from the Caesars Sportsbook app. Now, the Grizzlies have an odds boost going on now with the Caesars Sportsbook app. The Grizzlies have won 8 of their last 10 games. In those 10 games, the Grizzlies have averaged the second most points, most rebounds, and most blocks per game in the NBA. So I'm looking at Dylan Brooks' total points over 19.5, Steven Adams over a half block, Jaren Jackson over 5.5 rebounds, and the Grizz on the money line plus 850 tonight. Open to New Year's just in Tennessee who are 21 or older. If qualifying bet loses, bet amount returned as a credit. Must use in 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. We're all Caesars.
Wednesday night.
The shot and the score. Predators get on the board first.
The Preds hit the road to take on the Chicago Blackhawks at the United Center. Pre-game at 6:30. Puck drop at 7:30 on your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Response to Genesis Diamond's remarkable free financing offer has been so incredible that we're extending it through Christmas Eve. Last minute shoppers, we've got you covered with 5 years zero interest financing on any purchase with $0 down. So you can splurge on that handcrafted diamond ring and spread it over 60 whole months. Studs, bracelets, necklaces, bands, every color and every shape, starting at only $35 a month with $0 down. You can use this amazing offer on anything. Designer engagement rings, classics like diamond pendants and bracelets. All our hand-selected GIA certified diamonds are included, and so are our luxury pre-owned Rolexes. At Genesis, we've got our best collection ever, with case after case of stunning gifts that are romantic and timeless. And with Genesis guaranteed best value price and 5 years zero interest, $0 down financing offer, you can make this the best Christmas ever and still stay in budget. Merry Christmas from Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Unapproved credit.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industry. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at harmanenergy.com.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Can't get enough Vanderbilt basketball?
Intercepted right all by himself for a one-hand flush.
Your home for the Commodores is 93.3 Classic Hits.
Put it up. It's good. Count it.
Join Coach Jerry Stackhouse and his team on their journey through the SEC.
Pulls a trigger. Yes, from three.
Check out Vandy Hoops on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
When that firing took place, this team was in a good space. They had lost back-to-back games to Cincinnati and then to the Eagles, and I thought A.J. Brown just kind of drove the dagger in deep. I think it hit a soft spot with that organization.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It took them so long to realize they should have never traded A.J. Brown. But I think in that moment, when they lost 35-10, he put up all those big numbers and just had spectacular performance against the Titans. For whatever reason, it hit them then, and they decided just a few days later to fire their general manager, and pretending like it had nothing to do with it. I'm sure it did. But right now, this is an organization that's going backwards. This is an organization that hadn't had a losing season since Vrabel's been there, hadn't had a losing season since the general manager had been there, and that move almost triggered this avalanche, this decline, this precipitous decline that you see this team on.
How about that take this morning from Solomon Wilcots on NFL radio?
I mean, it's tough to argue that this organization is going in the right direction.
I thought that when I heard that from Solomon this morning, and I love Solomon Wilcots. He and Ian Eagle used to be like the F crew for CBS. They used to be the Andrew Catalon and James Lofton, so they would do the Titans every week.
Hey, don't talk about our guys that way.
By the way, you know who's doing the game Saturday?
Andrew Catalon and James Lofton.
I mean, you know what? I'm selling my house.
Back on the Titans saddle.
They're here so often. But, I mean, when I keep saying, like, the football world looks at the Titans when they fired Robinson. I'm not here to make this about Robinson, but because Solomon is. But when I say the Titans, the football world looked at the Titans like, what are you morons doing? That is an example of it. And that is, like, number 839 of some football person saying, yeah, I had no clue what the hell they were thinking there. And hate to say it's really worked out in the favor of the Titans, but I promise phones that we will go to. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. 615-737-1025. LT is going to kick us off today. Thank you for calling. What's up, LT?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Just want to comment and say that I'm glad you played that sound bite referencing, with the firing of John Robinson. And then I look at, of course, with the DUI happening with Downing, I really think that has had a major impact on the locker room. As you can see, I mean, the team does seem divided. You listen to some of these post-conference comments from our leaders on the team. And, yeah, I really think that this team needs a huge reset in the offseason. Hopefully we can get things back organized because, again, we're not used to, as a Titans fan, we're not used to seeing this locker room divided, this combobulated organization right now. It's just a hot mess. So hopefully we can get things back on track, tighten up.
So here's my thing about the next season is I'm not worried about next season, about the idea of, resetting everything and, what's it going to be. And I don't want to sound like a coach or Belichick or somebody who will say, every season is different. But every season is this. The off season is so long that by the time they get there for training camp, the draft and everything else, very rarely is it a continuation of the previous season and the energy from that into the next season. I mean, even teams like Buffalo that thought that they were going to have this team with all these leaders, well, Micah Hyde's out for the season and Von Miller's out for the season, and so it changes throughout the course of the year. So what the energy around the team will be next year, I'm not really worried about. What I am thinking about right now, though, is the players. and how the players are dealing with all of this. And I cannot put myself in their shoes. I assume that they don't really care about Todd Downing's DUI. Maybe that's a bad assumption. I assume that they didn't really care that much about John Robinson being fired, but the shock of just, holy crap, I thought we were doing okay, and apparently we stink. I think that did affect them for the Jacksonville game.
And I think the snowball effect of this was a massive shock to the organization, and it just kind of filters down from there.
Absolutely.
And the players feel it.
And then, and I think it affected them for the Jacksonville game.
Yeah.
I think they lost the Charger game because Todd Downing had his head up his ass. I firmly believe that the Titans players gave them a chance to win on Sunday, and I said this all day yesterday, but that the Titans players gave themselves a chance to win. That what happened with John Robinson and the distraction of the Jacksonville game and the getting spanked by Jacksonville really didn't have anything to do with why they lost to the Chargers. But because they had that feel of, we've lost 3 in a row. We got to put all of our energy into this week. We have to be positive this week. We have to focus on Jacksonville this week. Los Angeles this week. And I sound like an old pop because the pop-pops cannot.
San Diego.
No, like Bill Polian must have called him San Diego on the radio this weekend 800 times. Floyder could never call him Los Angeles.
Oakland Raiders.
And so, yeah, Derek, calls him Oakland all the time. So, anywho, it's like, okay, everything that we have to do this week has to be about the Charger game. Charger. They go out there, they play their freaking guts out, and then the freaking offensive coordinator takes the best running back in the planet off the field on 3rd and 2 twice. And so, then you lose the game. The whole, 4 games in a row and the negativity, that doesn't come out until the game is over. And then it's like, damn, we've lost 4 games in a row. We suck. But the Charger game was a razor-thin margin. And that is, if you want to have a hope for this team, that's it. Is the fact that with everything bad going on and all the injuries and Danico Autry being out, that the Titans went on the road against a team that's going to be in the playoffs, a team that gives Kansas City fits all the time, and the Titans are right there with them at the very end, with a quarterback who was hobbled, with a left tackle who stinks. And they were right there. And so what I am worried about, though, is that the players gave it their all last week, and when they lost, because the Downing DUI thing, I'm not saying I don't care about it because I do care, but as far as it affecting my daily life, it doesn't. No. And so I assume that it probably doesn't affect the players. The Robinson thing, that affected my life for that week. And then it's over. Mm. And so I would assume that it's probably similar for the players. And then, right now, the being mad at Todd Downing and the finger pointing, that is what is affecting my life right now and why they lost this Charger game more so than anything else. And so, again, maybe I'm taking my own feelings and saying that's how the players feel. But I really do think that, if that's how we feel, why would they feel any different?
And, the way that we feel now started from the players and from inside of that organization because they have been doing the finger pointing, because they have been doing the pouting.
Oh, yeah.
That all came from inside of that organization.
And last week it was the opposite. Last week it was the no pouting around here. We are all in a great spot. Kumbaya. And now it's like, I don't care about winning the division and making the playoffs if we're going to get beat because we can't beat anybody right now. It's like, dude, Justin Herbert made a great play on an 8th string corner and they kicked a field goal. And it wasn't like the Chargers beat you 900-0, but there's not one person that has talked since that Charger game that has acted like they didn't get beat 900-0. Maybe Tannehill, but Tannehill the whole time, and I don't know what the deal with this is, but Tannehill the whole time is talking about how, on the pain level, this is the highest pain you could ever feel, talking about his ankle. It's like, I got it, dude. You played hurt. Okay, thank you. So, I don't know. It seems so discombobulated. What do we have in the text line?
One texter texts in and says, Titans are ashamed and embarrassed after 4 straight losses. Nothing good has happened for this team since beating Green Bay on a Thursday night. Nobody wants to feel that way, much less talk about it.
That is not true. Nothing good has happened. I thought that the comeback against the Chargers, I thought that was great. And I thought the play that really stood out to me that I'm thinking, okay, this is something. The throw over the middle to Chigakonkwo where he ran down the field and put them into scoring position, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, you know what? Chig's a player. Now, he's got his problems, and we saw that in the Jacksonville game. But Chig is a player. And so now I know, just like I know after the Green Bay and Cincinnati games and the touchdown that got him concussed, I know Burks is a player. So I feel really good about that. I thought the Roger McCreary interception
had a great play.
I thought McCreary had a great game. There was one ball that they threw where on the sidelines, Mike Williams thought that McCreary wasn't behind him, and he played off, and he came back and batted the ball right over the shoulder of Mike Williams. And I thought it was a great play. The problem is that, like, those are the things that they should be talking about. Those are the things that they should, like, that is the confidence that they should get. And I know that if they got up there and they said, hey, you know, we're really proud of the fact that we got back in the game against the Chargers. We're really proud of the fact that we never gave in. We're really proud of the fact that people would say, well, you know, nobody wants to talk about how close you came and didn't win. But I think that there has to be some positivity here. And it ain't coming from the team. The team, when we talk about the 4 straight losses, I talk about the difference between the media people and the football people. The media people right now, the Titans are pretenders, and if they get into the playoffs and they play the Ravens or the Bengals or the Dolphins or the Chargers, they have no chance to beat these teams.
Which is fine for the media to say that. That's great fodder for TV.
But the idea of, you're telling me that if they play that same Charger team again that they can't beat them? I don't believe that.
I don't believe that at all.
But I think they believe that. And I think the Bayard comments kind of equaled that. That they think that they can't beat these teams. And that's where the 4-game losing streak is affecting them, and it shouldn't. They need to not give a rat's ass about 4 games. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you've lost 4 in a row. It means nothing. And I don't think that I mean, Jared Stillman, king positivity over here, apparently.
Yeah, seriously, notorious positive guy.
But it's like, it's so absurd the way that they're acting right now that it's like, I have to feel like I have to be the one that brings it back down a little bit, which is depressing.
And I
scary.
understand fans saying, I don't blame them. I feel the same way. I get it. You're fans. You know, you ebb and flow as the team ebbs and flows. Your team's down, you're down. Your team's up, you're up. But that's their jobs. Is it at least outwardly facing publicly to not act like crybabies?
Speaking of crybabies, I got to defend somebody right now. And I don't take any pleasure in doing this. And this is going to make a lot of people mad. I already know. It's going to make the text line mad. It's going to make everybody mad. But it's what has to happen. Has to. Because it's getting ridiculous. That's next. Stillman and Company on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Santa Charles Barkley is coming to town, and he's delivering $20 million in gifts this holiday season to all FanDuel customers. That's my official sportsbook app, by the way. It doesn't matter if you've been naughty or nice. You think Charles Barkley cares about that? No. St. Chuck has something for everyone. Just check your FanDuel app for a no-sweat same-game parlay, bonuses, and all sorts of stuff that will fill you with holiday cheer. If you're new to FanDuel, now is the perfect time to sign up, and remember to use the promo code JGM. The app is easy to use, and they're always hooking you up with great promotions. And when you win, you'll get paid instantly. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and it's my official sportsbook app, and get in the holiday spirit with $20 million in gifts from Santa Barkley. 21 and older and present Tennessee. Prize total dependent on customer participation. Wager requirements apply. Gifts awarded as non-withdrawable site credit or free bets. See FanDuel.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guy.
They'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Overall, today shouldn't be too bad for us. The clouds will be on the decrease and highs should reach to near 50. Extremely cold air moves in quickly, though, by late Thursday and will likely stay below freezing from Thursday night through Monday morning. For Fox 17, I'm meteorologist Brett Luna.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the happy face truck today.
3 and 2 312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Nashville. 312 Pizza Company only uses the best all-natural ingredients and makes everything in-house from scratch every single day. And trust me, you can taste the difference. They've got deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, their Italian beef. You'll taste the freshness. Stop in for a pint of local beer and a slice of pizza, or order online at 312pizzaco.com. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Hey guys, it's the holidays, but if your bells aren't jingling like they used to because of erectile dysfunction or low testosterone, maybe you aren't quite in the spirit of the season. And if that's the case, maybe you should give yourself and your partner a most special gift and head on over to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. The medical professionals at the Tennessee Men's Clinic are experts in treating ED and low testosterone. They've successfully treated thousands of men with ED treatments having success rates as high as 90%. And with a variety of ED treatment options, including wave therapy, they can likely find the right one for you. You might even find your bells are jingling like they haven't in a long time. Beyond this, the low T treatments they offer are highly effective, with most men seeing results in just weeks. If you're like most guys, you'll feel more energetic, you'll sleep better, get greater gains in the gym, and your sex drive will likely improve as well. So make an appointment and get that old jingle back. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes a PSA and testosterone test, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatment sex results vary.
Robbie Stanley.
It really doesn't matter until the pads come on and you have to hit each other, you have to block.
Joe Rexrode.
Reliable, go out and make some plays for you. Solid player.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Social media can be a pretty unmerciful place. Do you talk to the offensive line, Dennis, about, they're under fire all the time. Tell them to tune that out or...
About social media?
Yeah, the fans have been pretty tough on them.
I'm not really caught up in social media. It's not really something that I'm looking at or put into what I got going on, so I don't really know. I don't pay attention to it.
Corey Curtis tells Derrick Henry social media is all over Dennis Daly. You have any thoughts on that? Derrick Henry's thoughts are, I don't know about social media.
I'm not on social media.
Don't talk to me about social media.
That's such I plead the fifth. Oh, they said it on social media. I'm not on that.
Let me defend my guy, Dennis Daly. So nobody is going to defend Dennis Daly. The coach doesn't do it. All the coach ever says is it's not about one guy. The players clearly aren't going to do it. Derrick Henry right there, perfect opportunity to do so. He didn't do it. I am going to defend Dennis Daly because I feel like the vitriol towards Dennis Daly is getting to a level of, I'm uncomfortable about some of the things I see being said about Daly and the feelings towards Daly. Let's start with the number one, the clear and obvious, he stinks. We all agree. You think Carolina just gave away Dennis Daly for a late round pick in a draft 2 years from now because they thought he was the anchor of their offensive line, but that was a deal that was too good to pass up? Of course not. So when the Titans traded for Dennis Daly, it was out of desperation. And it was a guy who Carolina they didn't want him. Carolina, in fact, they don't even think he's a tackle. He used to play left tackle for them. They moved him to guard. And he started at guard for a couple of years. And finally, they were like, okay, they're going to offer us a pick in a draft 2 years from now. Let's go ahead and do it. Dennis Daly was not brought in to start for the Tennessee Titans. He was brought in to be a swing tackle. And because Dylan Radins, the guy that everybody wants to play over Dennis Daly, wasn't good enough to be the team's swing tackle. Taylor Lewan tears his ACL in week 2. Dennis Daly goes in at left tackle. Now, Dennis Daly is a backup left tackle who was not wanted by the Carolina Panthers. Again, not the gold standard of offensive lines in the NFL. Dennis Daly, a backup, is put in at left tackle on a team that he doesn't know anything about in a system that he's not used to, and you all want him to be a starting caliber left tackle, which usually has about the market rate of $20 million. Let's think about this like the wide receiver position. Is anybody asking for Racey McMath to be A.J. Brown? Because that's what you're asking of Dennis Daly when you all get really mad about it. Now, let's go to the 2 sacks last week or over the last 2 weeks that everybody remembers. The first was against Jacksonville early in the game. Trayvon Walker comes off the edge, sacks Ryan Tannehill. It's a strip sack. Ball comes loose. Jacksonville recovers and scores a touchdown. And everybody's mad at Dennis Daly. On that play, Chigakonkwo was located outside of Dennis Daly. His job was to chip the edge rusher back into Daly. It was like giving him a push on the swing. That's what he was supposed to do. He's supposed to push the edge rusher into Daly, so Daly, who's got slow feet, again, Daly is $1 million guy with the market rate for what he does is $20 million. Daly has slow feet. So they push him back in there so Daly doesn't have to move his feet with the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Because I hate to break it to you all out here, but Trayvon Walker was picked number 1 because of his feet and how fast he is at his size. So they are trying to help out Dennis Daly. Instead, Chigakonkwo pushes him the wrong way. So now Dennis Daly has to use his feet, which we know are not very quick. He has to use them to get out there to stop Trayvon Walker, the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Is that really fair?
Well,
no.
I don't think that people are criticizing Dennis Daly just for that one instance.
But is it fair? Is that fair? To ask Dennis Daly to do more work because Chigakonkwo pushed the guy the wrong way.
No, he can't even go one-on-one against Trayvon Walker, even if his job is as hard as it is already.
In fact, Bob sent me a cut from the Washington Commanders game, not the Washington Titans game, but one of the games they played, where the running back came out and just drilled somebody. And Bob was like, that's a chip, not what the Titans are trying to do. Flash forward to a week later. Dennis Daly, similar situation, can't give up a sack. They're coming off the edge. They get the sack. Everybody, oh, Dennis Daly gives up. He sucks. He's terrible. Chris Connolly is supposed to chip the guy back inside, and just like Chigakonkwo the week before, he chips him outside. So you're asking your backup tackle, who wasn't good enough to be a backup tackle on the Carolina Panthers.
Who stink.
You are asking him to be able to do more because the guys that you are using to try to help them aren't doing it the right way. And then you all get mad at him. And it's not fair. And I saw somebody put out a video, some bobo who doesn't know anything about football, put out a video. And, I mean, Bob sent the video to me and was like, this is ridiculous. About how, here's Daly, he's getting chip help and he's still giving up sacks.
That's not chip help.
It's chip hurt is what it is. They're hurting him. Again, Bob Shoop's only been doing this for 30 years. Bob sent that video to me and is like, whoever wrote this is crazy because this is ridiculous. So not only that, the Titans have Dennis Daly next to an undersized guard who's not very good. So you've got Dennis Daly at an on-the-island position in which, again, the market value is $20 million. He can't even be a backup for the Carolina Panthers, and you guys are yelling and screaming and losing your minds about this guy. I look at Dennis Daly, and I'm like, I think that he's bad, but I think that he has limitations, and they need to work around the limitations, and they're not doing it. Now, I'm not going to defend him for the false start against the Eagles because you can't do that. I'm not going to defend him against the Eagles when he was supposed to push the guy to the outside to Dontrell Hilliard, and he ends up pushing him inside, and the guy sacks Tannehill. But I am defending him overall. When you people, anytime you see a sack and his number's involved in any way, you don't ever take into account what the play was supposed to be, the fact that the guy who was supposed to help him wasn't there, if in the Washington Commanders game they don't give him any help, and what he really represents. Because nobody's yelling and screaming about Racey McMath on that ball where he went up on the deep ball that got intercepted and saying, well, he should be able to jump up and catch that. Whereas if it was A.J. Brown, we would be saying he should be able to jump up and catch that. Because our standards for Racey McMath are not that high because he's a backup. And so please have some sense when it comes to Daly. Is he bad? Yes. Do I want him as the left tackle? No. But this idea that, he's so bad, he's holding the team back, Radens could do better, this one could do better, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's unfair to him. And I can't believe that Derrick Henry, because he was in his mood today, I thought that Derrick Henry missed an opportunity to defend his guy because he was mad about Corey Curtis talking about social media. I thought that he should have defended Daly there because it's not that bad. One of the runs Derrick Henry got.
It's also not that hard. even if he doesn't believe it,
Sure.
to just lie through your teeth.
One of the big runs he got, Daly cuts up in there, takes out the backer, and it just opens it up for tons of space for Derrick Henry. And nobody's talking about that. So, I mean, I feel like I guess I'm the only person in the planet. You know, Dennis Daly has his own teammates sitting there liking tweets about how he shouldn't be playing. And nobody out here is going to defend Dennis Daly. And I guess I'm the only person in the world that's going to do it.
One person in the text line says, not mad at Daly, mad that the Titans haven't tried to upgrade the position. And I think that's fair. That's something that we harped on all summer long. If you're not going to get at least a little bit of insurance at the tackle position when your options are Taylor Lewan, who's consistently injured, and Dylan Radins, who couldn't even see the field last year because he wasn't ready, because he wasn't good enough, I think it all goes back to that. And look, Dennis Daly is not a good left tackle. He is not a good offensive lineman.
I also don't think he's a bad swing tackle. Like, if Dennis Daly was the swing tackle, so that the only time you ever saw him come in is on plays where they add the extra tackle, 71 is now reported as eligible, and he came in the game that, or, somebody was hurt and out for a game, and he had to play right tackle one week, and then he had to play left tackle the next week. I don't think Dennis Daly's that bad. I really don't. Like, I don't think he's that much worse than Quessenberry. I don't think he's that much worse than Dennis Kelly. I really don't. But because the Titans have exposed him, and I think Downing has really done him no favors this year, and the players that they put beside him, Chris Conley trying to chip, I mean, it's ridiculous. I think Dennis Daly's getting no help, and I think he's getting no respect. And I could not believe today that Derrick Henry didn't take the opportunity.
What kind
to
of
defend him.
respect do you think you should get?
Dennis Daly?
Yeah.
The same respect Aaron Brewer gets. Aaron Brewer stinks too. And I don't ever hear everybody yelling and screaming about Aaron Brewer. I mean, listen to James Lofton. This was James Lofton when Brewer gave up a sack. James Lofton is telling you that Brewer stinks, but I like his effort.
Joe Gaziano, the first sack of his career.
And Gaziano slips by Aaron Brewer, the right guard, number 55. And I love Brewer as a player. At 6'1", he's too short to play guard. At 295 pounds, he's too small to play guard. He's too small from Texas State to play guard, but he does it. That time he just slipped.
You know what I'm saying? Like James Lofton's like, kind of sucks, but I love him because he plays hard. Like, that's how people should feel about Daly. That's how I feel about Daly. And honestly, I think Brewer's just as bad as Daly. And nobody talks about Brewer like that. So I just felt like somebody has to defend Dennis Daly for what he is and not what you all yell and scream about that you want him to be. 615-737-1025. I cannot do 4 hours of yelling about the Titans. We will do a lot of yelling about the Titans, but we cannot do 4 hours. We cannot do 4 hours of yelling about the Titans. David Poyle said something I thought was off the freaking wall today. And so we'll discuss that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Predators win it in overtime. Touchdown, Tennessee.
We live the game.
My quarterback needs me to step up.
He can make a defense pay.
We are
1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was a good game. You had a couple of big plays.
Roman Yossi scores.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Throughout the country, buried pipelines are indicated by a pipeline right-of-way. A long, wide stretch of grass cleared of trees and marked with signs. If you have a right-of-way near your home, do not plant anything in it or dig in it. Do not install a fence or build your kids a super cool fort without first getting the pipeline operator's approval. For more on pipeline safety, visit pipesafety.org. A message from the Tennessee Gas Association, Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Have Hattie B's take care of all your holiday cooking. Hattie B's Holiday Family Meals. Hot ham, hot turkey, mashed potatoes, giblet gravy, and more. Place your orders before December 16th at events@HattieB.com. And you can pick up your order at the Hattie B's Test Kitchen at 450 Atlas Drive. Hattie B's Holiday Family Meals. So hot.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Should you rent?
Should you buy? This is Chad Withrow, and these are reasonable questions, but there are major advantages of owning a home as opposed to renting, like mortgage interest tax deductions, other tax benefits, plus the equity in the home becomes an asset. You really are throwing away your money when you rent. Let your money work for you. Give my friends a call at Regal Realty Group. Let them find you the right home. They do everything for you from contract to closing and everything in between. Give them a call at 833-OUTKICK. That's 833-OUTKICK.
Live from the Game Nashville studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Congratulations to the Nashville Predators. They snapped their 6-in-a-row losing streak with an overtime victory yesterday. And according to the midday show today, they're right back on track.
I don't know if I'd quite go that far, but 1 for 1.
17% chance of making the playoffs, according to Money Puck.
All right.
Here we go on to Chicago.
Don't like those odds.
Now, again, I'm not going to let an overtime win against a horrendous goaltender. And I really like the people that run the Edmonton club, the general manager, and I think, he's great.
Yep.
But they signed this Jack, is it Jack, Ian, what's the goalie's last name?
Yep, Campbell.
Jack Campbell. They signed him from Toronto for $25 million.
Uh-huh.
Freaking stinks.
Steep.
He's like Russell Wilson. They thought he was like the goalie they needed.
Business.
And he freaking stinks. Now, that being said, enough about that. David Poile was on the midday show today. And we can either be completely fair. You guys pick. Chase asked him about his evaluation of John Hines getting all the players that they pay a bunch of money to in order to score some goals that aren't scoring any goals. Chase asked him about evaluating the job John Hines is doing, which was a very roundabout way of asking him, what do you think of the job John Hines is doing? We can play the meat of what Poile said, which is how many seconds is that, Ian, that second cut? How many
47.
seconds is that?
47 seconds. Yep.
Or we can be completely fair, and we can play the entire 2.5-minute cut from David Poile just rambling on and on. Which one do you want to play?
Give me the meat.
Okay. So Chase asked him, let's play the first cut, and then we'll stop after Chase's question, and then we'll play the meat.
Okay.
So this is what Chase asked David Poile earlier today.
So what is your evaluation of John and the job that he has done to just try and get, the superstars to be consistent and therefore put the puck in the back of the net?
Okay, let's just stop right there. Now let's get to the meat of what David Poile said, this highlighted area of what really you need to take away from that. This is what Poile said today.
As I watched the game, I think the game plan, I think the systems are really good. I think the execution is not good. In every game, we seem to be in prime position to take advantage of maybe a 2-on rush or a 3-on2 or make a pass that could be for a tap-in type of a goal. Those type of situations, and this is I'm never one to lay this on any one particular player or individual. It's a team event, and we're just not executing very well. I like the process. I like what the systems that we're playing, but we're not taking advantage or whatever it is. We're just missing something from the finishing touch.
Okay, so I don't think I need to translate that for anybody.
It's the coach is fine. The players aren't doing their jobs.
It's not the coach is fine. It's the coach is doing a great job.
The system is fine.
I like the systems. The systems are setting up these odd man rushes we're getting. The system is setting it up so guys can just tap the puck in the net.
But the players aren't doing it.
Tapping the puck in the net. We're paying these guys $8.5 million and we give them no movement clauses and they just don't tap it in the net. I just don't know what it is. It would be like if you watched a football game and you would say, is it the offensive coordinator or is it the players? Which, I don't know if you noticed this, but we were having those many discussions on a daily basis around here. And David Poyle's interpretation there was basically, I mean, the guys are wide open and they're hitting them in the hands with the ball, but they're just not catching it and running to the end zone for the touchdowns. That's what David Poyle just told all of us. Oh, God. So it's one of three things here. Either David believes it and we're all screwed. That David Poyle is so out of it, as far as reality is concerned, that he actually thinks John Hines is a good coach. The argument for Hines is not anymore, can he be a good coach that carries this team, back into contention, and can he be the guy behind the bench that takes this thing to the top? The question is John Hines a terrible coach? It's not, is Hines a good coach? It's just, is he the problem, or is he just whatever? And I hate to say this, but he's been doing this now for 8 years, and he's never won anything. So I'd have to say that, the proof is in the pudding there. But again, David likes the system, likes the game plans, likes all of that. So either David is so out of it that David cannot see what everybody else sees, or two, David has too much pride in John Hines, that David is too biased towards John Hines because he hired him, because he knows that he went out on a limb to fire a successful coach and replace him with a guy that had no experience of winning, and everybody was trying to figure out, why are you doing this? And he really had nothing to back it up when he hired Hines other than just trust me. And the just trust me is nothing, but that he's talked himself into it so much that he believes it, that when he watches a game and he sees something, he'll never blame the coach because he can't do it because emotionally he's too invested in the coach. That's the other possibility. Or the third is that David Poyle just doesn't feel the need to have to say anything, and so he's just going to go ahead and play happy out there and try to push the narrative in a direction that he knows isn't true. And I think that is the least likelihood, the least likely. I mean, I am convinced that David Poyle thinks John Hines is a good coach, even though nobody else in the city of Nashville thinks that John Hines is a good coach, even though there is no proof at this point that would say that John Hines is a good coach. I mean, last year when Duchesne scored 40 goals and Forsberg scored 40 goals and Yossi had the season he had, Hines was supposedly the reason for that. And now that all those guys have reverted back to the mean, it's like, well, you can't blame John Hines for that. And I don't think anybody's okay with that, except David is pushing it. I like the game plans. I believe. And I heard that and I thought, oh my God. At first, because when Chase asked the question, again, we just took about 50 seconds. That was maybe a third of the whole answer. But the whole answer was just a bunch of window dressing and talk. It was rambling. He starts talking about players and things like that. I thought the way he was answering the question was to completely avoid the question about the coach.
Well, he called individual players out.
He did. He called out Forsberg and Niederreiter.
So they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not doing what they've been paid to do. So I mean, you asked, is it just narrative pushing, or does he truly believe that? I think he truly believes it. I think that he truly believes that John Hines is a good coach and that the players just aren't executing. That David Poyle views it as, well, I mean, the players do have the ability to do it because we've seen it last year. We've seen it in the past. So they're just not doing it this year. Instead of looking at it as maybe it's the system, maybe it's the coach that's the problem, because the players didn't just lose their talent overnight.
And what bothers me so much about this is that the reason that they fired the last coach was because the players that they had paid a bunch of money to weren't playing very well. And so it was like, as much as we love Peter, we had to fire Peter because we felt like Peter just couldn't get the best out of these guys anymore. So we hired John, and he's going to get the best out of them. And John Hines, this is now his fourth season. He hasn't won anything, and they're still defending him. And I told you, I think deep down inside, the biggest mistake that I made, and I apologize to all the fans for this, is how anti-John Hines I was when they hired him. Because they, as an organization, had never experienced making a decision that received a lot of pushback. Because over the years, until Peter Laviolette started winning, they just didn't have the kind of cachet in the city to where those things really garnered a lot of attention. And then all of a sudden they go out there, or at least like when they moved on from Barry, they brought in Peter and they had the resume of Peter, and Peter won right away. So it was like, okay, that works. But when the Hines thing happened, I pushed so hard against Hines because I just looked at the resume and I didn't buy it. So I pushed so hard against it that I feel like they dug in and they really, got behind him. And now it has blinded them to the reality in the playoffs.
Well, I don't think it's because of your critiques of John Hines.
I'm telling you.
I don't think so.
I do, and I'll tell you why.
You can't run a billion-dollar corporation that way.
I'm the only person who has ever pushed back, like really pushed back. David Poyle, in the press conference, rambled on and on about how much New Jersey had pumped up John Hines to him. And in an entire room full of writers, not one person heard that and thought, if New Jersey loved this guy so much, why did they fire him? And I asked the question, and I can't tell you the amount of criticism that I heard both directly and behind the scenes about, how dare Jared ask that question? Like, I heard about it like 3 or 4 weeks after it happened. You know what I mean? Like,
I
so
know.
and so said, how dare, and it's been a long thing. And I'm the only person that pushed back on the Hines thing.
Well, if the Predators are making decisions about this hockey club based off of what you have to say, then we have much bigger problems on our hands.
Sometimes I get worried about that. Because
I can't believe that.
People talk about the Robinson thing.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, you talked about how Robinson was messing up every day. How could you be mad that John Robinson got fired? I'm like, because it's a daily evaluation. That's what it is. That would be like saying, I'm grading your homework and I thought you got an F on this homework. It doesn't mean I think that you should repeat the 3rd grade. It's a daily evaluation. But
which is not what owners do and GMs do or should do.
As Solomon Wilcots earlier today was talking about the John Robinson thing. He's like, I know they say that it wasn't about the A.J. Brown thing, but I think it was about the A.J. Brown thing.
If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck,
and so
AJ.
I'm convinced at this point. And again, it's not about me. It's not like they're sitting there and they're thinking like, is John Hines a problem here? And someone's like, yes, but we want to show Jared Stillman up, so we're not going to do it. It is the fact that they defended him so much that they believe it. Like that they truly believe like, no, he doesn't understand. They don't understand. What happened in New Jersey has nothing to do with this, even though everything that happened in New Jersey is exactly what's happening here. I mean, it's just they've decided, and this is what it's going to be. And I that must be what it is from Poyle, because there's nothing on the resume that says that the coach is a good coach. And there's nothing as far – I love this idea of it's not the coach, it's the players. Well, what's the coach's – I mean, is the coach supposed to get out there and put the puck in the net? No. The coach is supposed to get the players to put the puck in there. That's what the coach does. That's coaching.
Well, and then I would say that people who are arguing it's players over coach or players over system would say, well, the coach can't go out there and put the puck in the net. The players have to do it.
Barry Switzer won a Super Bowl as a head coach, and Troy Aikman, his quarterback, absolutely, positively hated him. Like, hated everything about him. And they still won a Super Bowl because they had Jimmy Johnson's players, and the players were really good. And then when those Jimmy Johnson players got old and went away, then the Cowboys started stinking it up. The coach, can only do so much. But you all told me, talking about the Predators, you guys told me that you got to coach the players this offseason. And now the players aren't playing well. So I'm supposed to be mad at Nino Niederreiter, or am I supposed to be mad at the coach? Because if I have to be mad at Niederreiter, then I have to be mad at Duchesne too. And I have to be mad at Forsberg. And I have to be mad at Johansson.
You can be mad at them.
And I need to be mad at Tomasino for not taking the next step since they sent him down. And I got to be mad at Tolvanen because he never developed into a player, even though he single-handedly saved their season 2 years ago. And I got to be – you see what I'm saying?
I hear you. I know. I think the coach is absolutely culpable.
I do not think David will fire him. Like I think he's going down with the ship. I think that this is going to be what gets David fired. Is that somebody's going to go up to David and say, you got to fire the coach. And David's going to be like, no, we can't fire the coach. No. And that'll be the moment of, it's you or the coach. Okay, fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where I think we're headed with this. I see your phones. Let's get to them. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Look, I love my hockey team, but we got to start calling spade. And this, last night's game, it was a baby step in the right direction. And I hear everybody talking about it like it was some monumental next level step. And the Bobo media is mad at me, which I didn't even see this coming. I was stunned by. We'll get to that coming up. 615-737-1025. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller is giving away cash for the holidays, and they are celebrating from now until the end of the year with special deals. Hiller wants to make sure every child experiences the joy of Christmas this year, and they're donating $50 in toys for Toys for Tots with every tankless water heater purchase. And they're giving away a $250 Visa gift card with each unit. Get a $500 Visa gift card when you buy select new HVAC systems, or get a $500 Visa gift card with the purchase of any new whole home generator. They have more details online at happyhiller.com. As always, Happy You'll Be Here, the service is free, and these deals are only available until the end of the year, so schedule today. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. My guys, they've been taking great care of my home for 4 years. They can do the exact same for you. They are proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Bowl season is here.
Keeps his feet out of a tackle, and it's a race now.
Catch all the action right here at 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and 94.9 The Fan.
Down the middle, right on the money, touchdown.
All the big moments of bowl season are presented by Boomba's Craft Pizza and Tap House. Pizza, beer, sports. Headquartered in East Nashville.
My goodness, look out.
Bowl season is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Still working on your Christmas list? Hurry into Electronic Express for last-minute gifts. Our convenient locations have great deals on all of your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Apple, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, gaming, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 48 months free financing. Shop in-store or online and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make Christmas happen.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-936-9033. 800-936-9033. 800-936-9033.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Never miss a moment of the show.
What is this? Check it out.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Predators have it down now into a 2-on-1. And the score! Overtime goal! Scored by Alexander Carrier. And the Predators take this one 4-3.
There you go. Last night it ended the losing streak. I was stunned by two things. One, Connor McDavid had the most beautiful pass I have ever seen in my life behind the net. And UC Saros made a save that I saw McDavid slide behind the net and just push that puck right in front for a beautiful opportunity. You know, talk about David Poyle saying that John Hines is just putting the puck right there for the players to tap into the net.
And they're not using the layup.
McDavid literally did that yesterday. It was so beautiful.
And I was a little bummed. I put a bet on Connor McDavid over 1.5 points last night. And
had 1 point.
Not the right night to do that.
No, shockingly.
Shocking.
That was the right bet, though. So then Carrier scores. And so the Bobo crew goes freaking crazy about how, oh, you think Carrier sucks now? Oh, what do you think now, Jared? I'm like, congratulations. It's Christmas, and he just scored his second goal. I'll tell you, man.
And it's like the same thing. Like, everyone thinks Jeff Swain sucks, right?
Right. But when
Jeff Swain makes catches
touchdown,
sometimes.
right.
Like, sometimes bad players do good things. They're not completely useless. Alexander Carrier has talent.
You never see like a guy in baseball that batted 0.
No.
So anywho, Alexander Carrier scores last night, and I thought it was a terrible goal allowed by the goalie. I mean, he's staring right at it, and Carrier fires it from like the blue line, and the Bobo crew comes out like, oh, what do you think of Carrier now? I'm like, take that, cut off the goal. Just show him shooting it, and then show the celebration. Don't show the actual goal, because I don't want people to see the goalie. Just let it in when he's staring at it the whole time. But go ahead and send that to every team around the league and say, hey, we'd like a first-round pick in return. Like, that would be what they should do. Guys, let's not make this one win more than what it is. It was a good win against a team that you never beat, and it was nice to have the Predators win. Let's not act like the season has changed because they won the overtime game against a middling Edmonton team. I talked to somebody yesterday from Edmonton, and we were talking about the radio, and I was like, yeah, you know, we talk about firing the coach sometimes and firing the general manager, and they were like, oh, yeah, that's what's going on in Edmonton now, too. And I was like, well, they got the players, you know, so it's like, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. And if they beat Chicago tomorrow, they should, because Chicago is trying to actively lose. If they don't beat Chicago, it's probably not a good sign. But, again, they still have a 17% chance to make the playoffs. Let's not make too much of that win yet. It was nice. Good.
Getting
good
the win
for them.
column is good. But it's 1-6 in your last 7.
Like, let's pump the brakes on Alexander Carrier and Cody Glass taking this team to the Stanley Cup final.
But when you start stringing wins together and you start turning things around, you're playing a little bit faster, the power play doesn't look absolutely horrendous, and you start to see that night over night over night, wonderful. Then I will start to change my viewpoint. But I can't use one night, one game, and call it, everything's turning around. Everything's better. Maybe it is.
I still can't get over that McDavid pass last night. My God.
I cannot go there.
Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Kevin is in Smyrna on John Hines. Thank you for calling. What you got, Kevin?
Hey, Jared, here's the deal. When you was young, you played backyard football, right?
Sure.
Well, you just went out there and said, hey, man, get open. Well, I've been to the last 3 games, and that's exactly how the Preds are playing, backyard hockey. There is no coaching. And you look at a team like the Oilers, and you can see the play developed, you can see the plan, and you can see that from a distance. The Preds are just not coached good at all. So I totally agree with you. And another thing, they're not going to get any better until we get Haslam in here. That is our hope. How many years has the power play stunk? Like, 3, 4? Come on. That's coaching. Clean house, get Haslam in here, and let's start over.
So I'll start with the back part of that. Thank you for the call. I mean, the power play, in theory, was good for about 2/3 of the season last year. I mean, the power play was dynamite. This time last year, the Predators were good. Like, people forget. I remember that the week of the Cincinnati game, they played Colorado at home, and it was like the Tannehill 3-pick game. And it was a showdown because Colorado was doing Colorado things, unlike this year. and the Predators were right there with Colorado, and the Predators beat them in overtime. And I remember at 2 o'clock that day, it was like, this team is for real. And that was like the Green Bay Packer game of that season last year, where everything after that moment was just down the hill. But the power play was good for about 2/3 of the year last year. Now, the power play was terrible last year in the playoffs, and it's been terrible ever since. The idea that we all have to wait for Bill Haslam to take ownership of the team is probably accurate, but it is so disappointing. It's like, so I have to wait 3 years for somebody who's going to own the team to then own the team, and then I have to hope that he doesn't suffer from the same, David's the kingmaker that everybody else has, and hopefully that will lead to some change for the Predators. And then I have to hope that the guy who is related to the guy, not that this, my brother would not run a team the same way I do, but his brother signed Deshaun Watson to that contract. So now I have to hope that this guy's brother, now Governor Haslam, I think, for the most part was a governor who stayed out of trouble, which is hard to do, which means that, I think a lot of people were fine with him being governor. No, I'm not trying to go there, but then I have to hope that he finds the right general manager and the right coach, and then 4 years later they can be better. That is a depressing timeline to think about.
It is, but that's also making the assumption that things aren't going to change until Haslam is in here. And
do you think they're going to change?
No, I don't, but that's my opinion.
Ian, do you think they're going to change until ownership changes?
Change what? The
David.
GM? The front office?
I mean, it's David, yeah.
I mean, probably not.
Ricky is up next. Thank you for calling the show. What you got, Ricky?
Hey, JS. Happy holidays, first off.
Yep.
2 quick points and then a potential trade. One, John Hines was run out of New Jersey. The second that team went into rebuild mode, they didn't let him near any of those top draft choices. He was gone. This will be the coach that gets Poyle fired. Otherwise, this organization is looking at another 5 years of just being awful. Now, you brought something up. We're looking for a first-round talent. The Preds are constructed very heavy. They're a heavy hockey team. The New York Rangers have a former top 7 pick who can't get along with the coach. His name is Vitaly Kravtsov. He makes $750,000 a year, tore up the Russian League, tore up the World Junior tournaments. He's playing fourth-line hockey. Flip Tanner Janot for Kozlov, put him on the first line. You got a 25 to 35 goal scorer, first-line talent. You're giving up a fourth-line player you didn't even draft.
So here's the problem about the hypothetical trades. Thank you for the call, Ricky. It's like we're not even at the point about what they should do. We're at the point of what we know that they won't do. And they're not going to trade Tanner Janot. They won't do it.
No.
He is the
love Tanner
the
Janot.
Identity, the non-tangible success that John Hines has had is we have an identity, even though I could make that up about anything.
But it's Tanner Janot personified.
Yes.
Mark Borowiecki personified.
Yeah, I don't know if Borowiecki should ever come back to hockey. I think it may be time for him to hang it up. But I do
But
say,
that's the identity.
Oh yeah. They're not going to trade.
You're out tough all of your opponents.
They're not going to trade it. They're just not going to do it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will get into your texts on this. There was one thing though that was said that did not go under my radar, and I promise you, it is not an accident. I mean, even I blushed a little bit. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025 here on a very festive holiday-ish. I don't know if this counts as a holiday edition because it's not like it's Christmas Eve or it's not but it feels like
holiday
it's close
season.
Enough. The Predators have a game tomorrow night, and it's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game tomorrow night, you win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Participate in Pick to Click tomorrow at 8:45 a.m. with Robbie and Rexroad.
Hey, this is Phil Forsberg. And this is Smashville.
Forsberg a shot, broken up in front, give it back to Forsberg, and here come the Habs.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormonal deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve your quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Nothing says I love you like the gift of jewelry. A sapphire ring, a diamond necklace, a colored gemstone earring, an anniversary band. And around here, the diamond destination is Genesis Diamonds. With decades of experience, our legendary value combined with worldwide connection, Genesis is here to help make this Christmas the most unforgettable ever. And to make it easy to splurge, our special 0% finance offer has been extended through Christmas Eve. So you can make any holiday purchase and spread your payments over 5 years and enjoy an interest rate of 0% with absolutely nothing down. Our showcases are filled with exquisite diamond rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, as well as a fabulous selection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, starting as low as $35 a month with nothing down. And if you're planning an engagement this holiday season, this special finance offer includes all of our designer engagement rings and all GIA certified diamonds. Buy now, spread your payments over 5 years with zero interest and nothing down. Say I love you louder than ever this holiday with the gift of diamonds from Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills in Cool Springs. Approved credit.
For the love of Tennessee at dawn. For the love of the fight. For the love of having nowhere else you'd rather be. For the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
All of us who work for Cromwell Media, the owner of this radio station, take a great deal of pride in our work. We honor each other for making a difference on our team and in our community. This month, we're congratulating Austin Fullwider, who handles our commercial logs for 6 years of service, and Sean Fort, our Director of Sales, along with David Janes, one of our part-time producers on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, are each celebrating 2-year anniversaries. Want to be part of what we do? Contact us at together@cromwellmedia.com and let's have a conversation.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I'm good. I'm back in Nashville. Moved back right after I was let go by the Islanders and just flipped houses. The taxes in New York can kill you. Tennessee's great for that. So
no doubt.
But it's my home. Let's call it what it is. And so it was very nice to get back to Nashville. I haven't spent a lot of time here yet. Just because of family things. And I spent more time in Winnipeg and in Manitoba, I think, this summer than I ever have. So I'm back in Nashville, just trying to get my own life in order and get moved in myself.
Barry Trotz on the Preds official podcast. Barry, how are you? I'm great. I just moved back to Nashville. I just bought a house. This is my home. I love Nashville, and I'm proud to be a Nashvillian where the taxes are less than New York.
Yeah, sure. It was the taxes, Barry.
That's what Barry said.
Is what got you.
That's what Barry said.
This is like, so girls do this a lot. Like if there's a guy that they think is cute or that they want to impress, and he follows
guys
their...
do this too, by the way. I want you just to know that it's not just girls that do this.
Well, this is hyper specific to women. Maybe men do it too. But like if she thinks the guy is cute, he follows her on Instagram, she'll find out whatever teams he likes and then go to like that team's quarterback or like that team's like Instagram account and repost something on her story to be like, hey, look, I like the Cincinnati Bengals too. That's exactly what Barry Trotz is doing. Is, hey, I love Nashville. So everybody pay attention. I love Nashville.
To that point, he did an interview on NHL Network last week, and I could not give two poops about where Barry Trotz lives, in all seriousness. But he did an interview on NHL Network last week, and he was, like Zooming or whatever from his house. Made sure to have that Titans helmet that's signed right behind him.
And like 3 guitars up on the wall.
Somehow, Barry just moved. And I moved 2.5 years ago, and you said I got stuff all over the place.
Everywhere.
That hasn't been. But Barry made sure to have that Titans helmet right there. So somebody tweeted me the other day and said Barry Trotz was on the Preds official podcast, and he said that he moved back to Nashville. Do you think it's just a coincidence?
No.
And I said, I don't think it's a coincidence that he just moved back to Nashville. I think it's a coincidence that he just moved back to Nashville.
It's not a coincidence that he mentioned it.
I don't think it's a coincidence that he told everybody on the Preds official podcast that he's moved back to Nashville. And Adam Vingan sent me over the weekend. I guess Barry did another interview. And I guess Barry's on interview season now because he's doing every interview.
He's doing a car wash.
And Barry Trotz did an interview where the headline was Barry Trotz doesn't think he'll coach this year. And then he said the first quote was, I don't know. And then it talked about how he thinks, well, that's because he's getting paid $4 million this year by the Islanders. So what he's going to do is he's going to wait it out. There's no way Hines is going to make it through this year. And then, he's going to be standing right there. I mean, what he's doing is he's putting the pressure on David Poile to hire him. You know how Joe Rexrode says that, David will never be allowed to hire a coach after hiring John Hines. That would be irresponsible. Well, if Barry Trotz is there and he hires Barry Trotz, it's not like he's hiring a new coach, but it's a very popular decision to bring back Barry Trotz. So the posture here from Barry is making even me blush. Now, I like Barry Trotz, but I'm also not one of these Preds fans that everything that they do has to have a discussion about Barry Trotz. I mean, I am fully aware that it could be in the best interest of the Predators to get a GM from a different team who would then hire a coach from a different team and kind of move forward. But there's a lot of Preds fans out there that are like, Barry. And if you're like, I think that Jeremy Lauzon stinks, it's like, but Barry Trotz is available. Do you think they should get Barry to be the GM? You think they should get Barry to be the president? You know what? And it's like, But Barry's not making it easy on anybody because here's Barry on NHL Network with his Titan helmet right behind him. Woohoo! Like I said, that makes even me blush.
I respect it. I respect the hustle.
It's a hustle.
I respect the hustle.
It's a hustle.
But also, let's say hypothetically, John Hines gets fired in hypothetically the next week. Bring in an interim.
Mm-hmm.
Would David Poile ever rehire Barry Trotz? To me, that feels a little bit like, okay, let's try and run it back to the glory days.
I agree. But I believe that the public would be more in favor of that than they would be of David hiring, some guy who's got no resume, like the last guy.
But is that what's best for the hockey team?
Well, we know what's best for the hockey team, and we know they won't do it. So, I don't.
But under those circumstances, if David Poile's going to hire a new coach, is it best for the hockey team to bring Barry Trotz back?
If I get a vote, yes.
Okay.
Because Barry is a known quantity. And I don't know what David could cook up after he hired this guy. When they hired him, it was like, what? Why? Oh, he's great with young players. I mean, the reason it wasn't working in New Jersey is because they were rebuilding. But here, we're ready to compete. And, it's one unmitigated disaster after another. What do we have in our text line? 615-737-1025. I guess add the Barry Trotz news that he was so excited to share with all of us on the Preds official podcast. Add that to the kitty as well. What do we got?
Raymond Texan says, if it's the players, then it should be on David Poile, kind of like it was on John Robinson.
So I think that's here's what I think David Poile is banking on. The fact that he's never going to get in trouble. So when a lot of general managers blame the players, a lot of times the response is, well, who's responsible for that? But because David's never going to get in trouble, who cares? And that's why he's going to blame the players. Coaches blame the players all the time because if Todd Downing blames the player, nobody is going to say that, it's Todd Downing's fault that Racey McMath is out there. Whereas they will say with the general manager that it's his fault. I agree. And I think the bigger problem is Poile, not Hines. I thought that they should have fired Poile. I think they should have fired Poile midway through the 21 season, and I never moved off that. But I've always thought that after last year, they should have canned Poile and brought in a new general manager, and they could have kept Hines. Now, I would have, let the GM pick, and the GM, because this is how GMs are, the GM would have fired Hines and hired his own guy. But if he wanted to have Hines there and have Hines take the bullets for not being good while you rebuild, I'd have been fine with that. And then after a year of evaluating, they then fire Hines and bring in a new coach. But the bigger problem is Poyle. What's next?
Another texter texts in says it's about the game last night. It says it's not even like the Predators were big underdogs. They were minus 105 2 hours before the game. They overachieved for how they've played the last month, but they still suck.
They overachieved. I was talking about this with somebody today because they were like, they got a power play goal, and they shut down Draisaitl and McDavid, and they won the game in overtime.
They got a power play goal.
What more could you ask for, Jared?
They're first in their last 20 tries.
Is that an actual stat?
I believe so. I was listening to Max on the pregame show last night. I want to say he said the Preds were 0-20 on the power play and went scoreless in 38 minutes of power play.
38 minutes.
I believe that is the stat that Max said in the pregame show last night. Like, that's almost a full game.
That's bad. And I said it so I was like, you know what, you're right. They got a power play goal last night. They've got a 17% chance of making the playoffs. They have no cap room. They have no young players. The one young player that they've been hyping up for years, they won't call up. They've called up every other player at Milwaukee, and they will not call up Tomasino. And so, other than the fact that it's an unmitigated disaster, you're right. That's where I feel like we are right now. And that's why I said we can't make too much of yesterday's game. It was a baby step.
You're in the win column.
Yes.
Good. But you still got plenty of problems. It's the same thing. Like, if the Titans beat the Texans on Saturday, I'm not going to say, hallelujah, thank you, the season is saved, this Titans team. Take me to the Super Bowl. It's good. That's what you're supposed to do. Win games. Now go win another one.
Yeah, and you won in overtime at home. Like, it's not like you won 8-0. You won in overtime.
I'll give it to you. You got to win.
That is true.
Do it again.
Losing in overtime. So this is a change. You won in overtime this time. What's next?
Another texter texts in and says, Chase mentions the superstars on the team, David Poyle, who's a superstar on the team.
I did hear that. So in the question that Chase asked David Poyle, I'm going to give Chase a free pass on this one. Maybe because he's the program director here, or maybe because, maybe because he's the program director here. But this was, Ian, if you can't get that first Poyle cut, this was Chase's question to David Poyle.
So what is your evaluation of John and the job that he has done to just try and get, the superstars to be consistent?
I believe that Chase means this team's superstars rather than hockey superstars.
The people that they think are good.
I mean, the Yossis, the Duchesnes, the Forsbergs, the core players on this team that Nashville
will never make an
fans,
all-star game anymore.
But Nashville fans view those as superstars, whereas maybe the rest of the hockey world might not.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, at least Chase asked the question about the coach. That I'm happy about. That was a good question as far as what David said. That's what we all wanted to know. Are you going to fire the coach? So I'll give Chase a pass on that. But no, the Predators do not have superstars. Yossi, yes, and he's not playing like it right now. Saros is a good goaltender. Like, he's a solid goaltender. And then everybody else is just kind of blah. 615-737-1025. An update on Ryan Tannehill's status and why my tune is very different than what it has been before. We'll get to that coming up. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. If you're still looking for Christmas gifts, check out Nashville's Best Deals and get half-off gift cards for Old School Pizza, Seafood Sensations, River Queen Voyages, and more. Visit thegamenashville.com/deals now while supplies last.
Every Wednesday at 8:45. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:45 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
from the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Overall, today shouldn't be too bad for us. The clouds will be on the decrease and highs should reach to near 50. Extremely cold air moves in quickly, though, by late Thursday and will likely stay below freezing from Thursday night through Monday morning. For Fox 17, I'm meteorologist Brett Luna.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Santa Barkley is coming to town, and he's delivering $20 million in gifts this holiday season to all FanDuel customers. It doesn't matter if you've been naughty or nice, St. Chuck has something nice for everyone. Just check out your FanDuel app for your no-sweat same-game parlay bonuses and all sorts of stuff that will fill you with holiday cheer. If you're new to FanDuel, now is the perfect time to sign up, and remember to use the promo code JGM. The app is easy to use, and they're always hooking you up with great promotions. And when you win, you'll get paid instantly. That's why I love FanDuel. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook and get in the holiday spirit with $20 million in gifts from Santa Barkley. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Prize total dependent on customer participation. Wager requirements apply. Gifts awarded as non-withdrawable site credit or free bets. See FanDuel.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
312 Pizza Company is home to Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Chase McCabe.
The best way to figure that out is to watch Twitter.
Willie Donick.
Trying to move down the field for the winning field goal.
And Derek Mason.
I'm putting in my hours, and I'm out of here.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Ryan Tannehill's status for their game coming up this weekend also in doubt after he re-injured his right ankle this past weekend against the Chargers. Now, Tannehill gutted it out, got carted off, came back into the game. He is as tough as they come. If there's any way Tannehill can be on the field, he's going to be out there. But my understanding is this is an uphill battle for Ryan Tannehill to be ready this weekend, which means rookie Malik Willis, who got his first NFL start a couple months ago against the Texans, could end up starting against Houston again.
So there you go. We're back to Tannehill watch. Ryan Tannehill's ankle hurts, and he might not play. And here we go. Is he going to practice? What's it mean for the ankle? He came back in the game. What do we think? What do we make? What do we... And guess what? I don't care if he doesn't play on Sunday or Saturday. I don't care.
Why?
Because unlike, say, the Kansas City game, the stakes right now are not as high. They can lose this game. Like, it doesn't. What really matters is if the Titans beat the Jags the last week of the year.
Yes, and then they clinch the division.
So it's as simple as that. Vrabel was asked yesterday, would you hold guys out for this Texans game to get people healthy? And
I
Vrabel,
think that's so dumb.
Well, Vrabel just looked up and said no. But considering the fact that Vrabel has done that exact thing before, I wouldn't rule it out either. 3 years ago, they played the Saints, and it didn't matter if they beat the Saints or not. It literally had no effect on their season because what they needed was they needed the Steelers to lose an AFC game, and then they needed to win an AFC game in order to make it to the playoffs. And the Saints game had absolutely nothing to do with anything. Kind of like next week's Cowboys game is really going to have nothing to do with anything at all. That game's like an exhibition game. That's like a bowl game against the Cowboys.
This is just a money-making game.
That's all it is.
Cowboys game.
And so in that game, Derrick Henry was dealing with a hamstring, and Derrick Henry didn't play. And it was obvious, I don't think Vrabel directly said, we sat Derrick out with the hamstring because we wanted to make sure that Derrick was ready to go for the Texans game, which actually mattered as far as the playoffs were concerned, and then the playoffs. But that's what happened. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that, as far as an Autry is concerned or a Burks is concerned or any of those kind of guys. But I kind of feel the same way about Tannehill, which is if it all comes down to the Jags game and Tannehill, and you'll know more about it because the Jags play on Thursday night. So you'll know more about it tomorrow. But if it all comes down to the Jags game at the end of the year, they probably are better off having Tannehill sit out this game for sure, and maybe even the Cowboy game next week, so that those ankles that have been bothering him all year are good to go for this one game that really matters and for the playoffs when those come, if in fact they do come. And so I go back to my whole Steve McNair would have played. This is the kind of game that Steve McNair would have missed. This is the kind of game that Billy Volek plays against the Buffalo Bills or Neil O'Donnell plays, because Steve McNair was always hurt and always played through it. But every now and then there'd be some kind of little caveat to the schedule, and this is Neil O'Donnell against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that's what I don't know if Tannehill's going to play. If I had a vote, I would say don't play. But this is not like a show me your dedication to the team, Ryan, because the team needs you, because this game doesn't have those kind of stakes, and the Jacksonville game does. So I'm not going to be upset at all if Malik Willis goes out there on Saturday.
Well, but it would be a kind of thing where Tannehill sits because he can't go, kind of thing.
I'm fine with Tannehill sitting, even if it's like,
if the morale of this team is this bad after losing 4 games in a row, including to the crummy, crappy Jags team, imagine how much worse it's going to get when you're 0-5 with a loss to the even worse Houston Texans.
Yeah, see, that's a risk I'm willing to take. So I'm willing to put Malik out there, and I'm willing to see if Malik and co. can beat the Texans, which I think they can. I mean, they already did. And so I'm willing to put them out there and see if Malik can beat the Texans and go from there. And if Malik can't beat the Texans and it's 5 in a row, well, I mean, guys, look, we didn't have our quarterback. That would be my approach to it if I were the Titans. I know. It's bad. It's negative. It's all this. It's a snowball. It's an avalanche. I get it. But the way I look at it is, if Ryan Tannehill's ankles are bothering him as much as he said they were bothering him after the game, where he wanted to make sure everybody knew how hurt he was, which honestly kind of makes me think less of Tannehill. But if Tannehill is really that hurt, and I can give him 2 weeks off to have him ready for the game, and then knowing that he'll probably win that, and then I'll have him ready for the other games, then I'll do that. And I feel the exact same way about Danico Autry. If Danico Autry is, 65% ready to go this week, he doesn't play. If Danico Autry's 85% ready to go this week, he doesn't play. If Danico Autry is 100% ready to go, then he can play. That's how I feel about it, because, again, this game doesn't have as much weight, and I still think I can beat this team without Tannehill or Danico Autry. So this is the one where I'm willing to say, okay, Billy Volek starts. That one I'm fine with. The other ones, like with Kansas City, where the number 2 seed in the AFC, the winner of that really is taking momentum of that 2 seed, that's different. This game doesn't matter at all. You're not going to be the 3 seed. You're not going to be the 5 seed. There's no way around it. If you win, I think it's if the Jags lose to the Jets and you win, then if you beat the Cowboys and the Jags lose, then you win the division. That's the only way. The magic number is 4. And nobody won or lost anything, or nobody affected the magic number on Sunday. So I don't want to get into what ties mean, but I think ties probably go in favor of the Titans. So it's 4 right now. And if you win and they lose, then the magic number is 2.
4 being what?
A combination of Jaguars losses and Titans wins. So if the magic number is 4, that means that any 2 Jags, 2 Jags losses, 2 Titans wins, Titans win the division.
Uh-huh.
I think that's what has to happen in order for it to be wrapped up before the Jacksonville game. And the only reason the Jacksonville game carries the extra weight is because the tiebreaker is represented there. Because the Titans would have the tiebreaker over the Jags if they didn't play a second time, but because they play a second time and the Jags get the head-to-head, then they would have that automatic tiebreaker, and then all the other tiebreakers behind it, with which I believe the Titans would win, don't matter. So, long-winded way of saying, I don't care if Tannehill plays this week. And if Tannehill is anything south of 80%, in my book, he does not play.
And I think that's the approach of not we're going to sit our quarterback and just to, preserve him and hope he doesn't get hurt against these teams. So he's 100% to go against Jacksonville. That's really just the approach of our quarterback's hurt.
It is, but if this were the Jacksonville game this week, then I would be like, you play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
I would be sitting here today if this were the Jacksonville game and it's win or go home and it's Sunday Night Football game 289 or whatever they call it. It's the last game of the season. Winners in, hosting the Ravens, losers out, then you play. But I'm only 45%. I don't care. You play. If you can come back in the Charger game, you play in this game. But because it is literally the exact opposite of that, I almost prefer that you don't play. Unless you're fine. And the way he was talking about it, and the way Pelissero made it sound there, saying it'll be an uphill climb for him to be able to play on Saturday, you don't play. You don't play. Plus, one thing to keep in mind, the NFL does not want Malik Willis on Thursday Night Football.
No, they do not.
Not that it
I don't really care
matters,
what the NFL wants.
But but when that pass interference call comes, you want to make sure you're on the right side of it. What team right now do you think the league is the most mad at? What team in the NFL? So it's kind of a tricky question here, but what team do you think the NFL has the biggest disdain for right now in the league?
Denver.
No. Ian, what team do you think the league has the biggest disdain for in the NFL right now?
Tampa, maybe?
Man, you guys are crazy. It's Washington. That is the team that they are the most mad at. They are trying to run that owner out of there. Did you see the end of the game Sunday night?
Yeah.
Did you see the no pass interference in the end zone?
I know.
So just keep that in mind. Just keep it in mind. So, again, the whole Tannehill thing, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? That would be something that if this game had some stake, had some juice to it, that it would be the number one topic this week. Instead, to me, it's background noise. It is.
But then what's the conversation on Monday? If Ryan Tannehill doesn't play, and I'm making the assumption that he would be good enough to play, which I don't think is fair to make. But if Ryan Tannehill can go, Vrabel sits, Tannehill plays Malik Willis, and the Titans lose that game. So what's the conversation on Monday?
So Tannehill is 75%. So he's like what he was for that Broncos game.
Good enough to go, but not 100%.
If the doctor says you're good and Tannehill says he's good.
But also, if he doesn't go, they're not going to tell us that he was, 80%.
Yeah, you're not going to know that. If Tannehill wants to play, because I've always said with those guys, with the starting quarterbacks, they don't come out. You do not take me out. I play. That is where Vrabel has to tell Tannehill, hey, here's why you're not playing. Because here's the reality of where we are and where we need to be and where we need you to play and be ready to go for the Jacksonville game. If Tannehill, again, if he's north of 80%, fine, play him. But if he is south of 80%, he doesn't play. And, again, they did this with Derrick Henry 3 years ago against the Saints. And so I think everybody understands it because Derrick ran for 250 the next week and then took out the Patriots and the Ravens by himself. So I think everybody understands why you do what you do there. So again, if he's south of 80%, he doesn't play. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. Could the Titans, big mistake, still be biting them in the tush? Why one prominent NFL analyst thinks so. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Tennessee touchdown! Middle Tennessee gets the score.
We live the game.
Just work on the little things every day.
They think the coaches are just coaches.
We are.
Grant City scores!
On both sides of the ball.
One big possession.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen. Hey, Teron Davenport here for Superbook Sports. When it comes to sports, it's all happening right now. Football, basketball, hockey, and soon enough, the World Cup. And there's no better place to wager on all of it than Superbook Sports. When you sign up, deposit, and wager in the same day, Superbook will give you a bonus up to $1,000. Yes, $1,000. When the sports world is busy, it's time to get busy winning some money. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, their physicians are specialty trained orthopedists that treat injuries and disorders of the upper extremities. Not all painful conditions require surgery. Therefore, their physicians look for non-surgical solutions first. Depending on your condition, you can be treated with a brace, splint, anti-inflammatory medications, rehabilitation, or if necessary, surgery. To experience world-class orthopedic care, visit tn.houston.com, where experience matters.
These are battles, these are grinds. We don't panic, we don't freak out. That's how we're built. 1, 2, 3, 9.
This is The Drive to the Playoffs, brought to you by Coleman Tractor on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Your Tennessee Titans are continuing to get ready for their matchup here on Saturday against the Houston Texans, and Mike Vrabel addressed the media here this afternoon and was asked about his team's injuries and the challenges that he faces handling them and getting his team healthy.
It's kind of the challenge, like, you know, for an athlete, like you see Ryan Tannehill come back into the game after he gets hurt, but you know, what happens after?
Well, I think there's a lot of I think that's probably a really interesting question, you know, where you see guys kind of come back and finish, and you know, there's adrenaline and there's a lot of things that go into trying to get back out there and allowing a player to finish. And then I think that there's a lot of trauma that happens, whether you know, talking about a shoulder or a hand or a wrist, or there's even things that guys may leave the game and then the next day, or they're like, wake up and they're like, holy, you know what I mean? Like that, I didn't really feel that and didn't know. So
that was Tennessee Titans head coach Mike Vrabel addressing his team's injuries and the challenges that come with it going up against the Houston Texans here this weekend. This report is presented by Coleman Tractor. I'm Nick Keyser from 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Live from the Game Nashville studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Rank City score!
On both sides of the one big possession.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the losses of Amanda J. Gentry. Apparently, I need to correct myself. I said that the magic number for the Titans was 4. It is 3. So any combination of Jacksonville losses and Titans wins means that the Titans could clinch the division. However, all they have to do is beat the Jags, and then they'd have the tiebreaker no matter what over Jacksonville. So it's 2. It's 3, but it's 2 if they beat Jacksonville. Now, here's the crazy part about all this. In theory, this could change how important the Texan game is, because if they lose to the Jets tomorrow night, if the Jags lose to the Jets tomorrow night, and the Titans beat the Texans, then all the Titans have to do is beat the Cowboys, and they win the division. That's the difference between the magic number of 3 instead of 4, so maybe that plays a role in it. Again, if Tannehill is south of 80%, and to me, Billy Volek plays, and Malik's in there.
Is that right?
Yes.
I thought the Titans had to beat the Jags no matter what.
No. I've been told the magic number is 3.
Okay.
So if the magic number
and
is 3.
I've also been told it doesn't matter whatever the Titans do as long as they beat the Jags. They're fine.
That is true. But that it doesn't matter no matter what bad.
Okay.
If they
So they lose to the Texans, they lose to the Cowboys, beat the Jags, they're in.
They're
money.
They're in. But again, Jacksonville has to lose to the Jets. Now, Zach Wilson is going to play on Thursday, so I wouldn't bet my house that Jacksonville's going to lose because Zach Wilson kind of sucks. So the John Robinson thing happened. We were all shocked by it. It was the number one story in town. It was the number one story in the league for about a day, and it was the number one story in town for about a week and a half. And then even at some point, even I moved on from John Robinson. But Solomon Wilcots, who has called a lot of Titans games in his life, and now hosts the morning show on NFL radio on Sirius XM, former player, longtime broadcaster, the wisdom of Solomon Wilcots says he thinks the Titans slide might go all the way back to when they fired John Robinson. Here's what Solomon said.
When that firing took place, this team was in a good space. They had lost back-to-back games to Cincinnati and then to the Eagles, and I thought A.J. Brown just kind of drove the dagger in deep. I think it hit a soft spot with that organization.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It took them so long to realize they should have never traded A.J. Brown. But I think in that moment, when they lost 35-10, he put up all those big numbers and just had spectacular performance against the Titans. For whatever reason, it hit them then, and they decided just a few days later to fire their general manager, and pretending like it had nothing to do with it. I'm sure it did. But right now, this is an organization that's going backwards. This is an organization that hadn't had a losing season since Vrabel's been there, hadn't had a losing season since the general manager had been there, and that move almost triggered this avalanche, this decline, this precipitous decline that you see this team on.
So he thinks that the Robinson move has led to the decline that the Titans have. Do we agree?
It's hard to not agree. I mean, it's hard to not look at what this team was 3 or 4 weeks ago versus what they're looking at now. And you could say, okay, well, the Robinson firing only happened 2 weeks ago. Well, I mean, the Titans lost to 2 really good teams. They just barely lost to the Bengals, and they got their butts whooped by a Philadelphia team that is just much better than them.
If I had to pick right now, I'd say those are the 2 teams that I think are going to play in the Super Bowl.
You think the Bengals are going to play in the Super Bowl?
I do. I think the Bengals are going to beat the living crap out of the Bills in that game after New Year's on Monday Night Football. I think the Bengals, and I don't mean like it's going to be a blowout. I mean like they're going to just physically they're going to just like.
I mean, the Bengals are a tough team.
They're going to beat them, and it's not going to be like a leave no doubt with the scoreboard. It's going to be like a leave no doubt with like the physicality and the style they play.
If
like
you
when
watch
they beat the
game,
Chiefs,
yeah.
When they beat it was a 1-score game when they beat the Chiefs, but they are clearly the better team than Kansas City.
One of those games that if you watched it, you felt like Cincinnati should have won by a lot more.
Yes.
But
so the
then
two teams
that are just frankly better than them. Better quarterbacks, better teams. They're just better than them. And then John Robinson gets fired, and the Titans look completely distracted and turn the ball over 4 times against a truly awful Jacksonville team. And then, they play well against the Chargers, but all of the talk after the game is defeated and whiny and just not very Titans-esque. This team hasn't been the same since then. This team hasn't looked the same the past 4 weeks, but really since John Robinson got fired. This team looks like a team that has harped on its identity for as long as Mike Vrabel and John Robinson have been here. This team looks like a team with no identity.
So yes, you say yes?
Yes, it is John Robinson.
Ian, do you think that John Robinson and I'm not saying like is playing a factor like that John Robinson is trying to help the Titans lose, but do you think that the firing of John Robinson is why the Titans are where they are mentally, emotionally, and in the standings?
I don't know about totally, but I think it's probably played a little bit of a factor. I'm not going to say it's the sole reason, but because I think the offense has been terrible all year. Even before John Robinson and all the injuries and stuff, not necessarily his fault. But I do feel like it could definitely help set things going in the wrong direction. I'm not going to say it was the sole reason, but I think it's contributing.
I think it's 50-50. And by that, I mean literally, I think that Robinson's firing is why they lost to Jacksonville, and I think that John Robinson's firing had absolutely nothing to do with the Chargers game. So they wouldn't be in a 4-game losing streak if they hadn't fired John Robinson, because I think they would have beaten Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably would have the division wrapped up, and they'd be in a much better place because then Ryan Tannehill wouldn't have to play this week. And Danico Autry wouldn't have to play this week. And Traylon Burks wouldn't have to play this week. And all those guys could get healthy, and they could really – the Titans could talk themselves into the we were hurt, but we've got a couple of weeks to get ready for the playoffs. And when we get Baltimore, we're going to be ready to go. They would have been able to talk themselves into that. And so the John Robinson thing will forever have teeth and screw them up because it screwed them up for that Jacksonville game. I don't think they lost the Charger. I don't think the John Robinson thing had anything to do with the Charger game. I think that they were over it all week. I don't think they were distracted by it going into the Charger game. I think that their focus was on beating the Chargers. I think the Titans played very well. I think a lot of guys that, shouldn't be put in situations to fail were put in situations to fail. I think the offensive coordinator stuck his head so far up his ass that he took Derrick Henry off the field on 3rd and 2. And I think that Justin Herbert just made a great play that great quarterbacks make. You can't compare the guy to Dan Marino, have him make a wow play right at the end of the game, and then say to yourself, and this I say you can't. I can't say he's the next Dan Marino, and then watch him make a wow play and think, oh, how could they have let Herbert do that? If he's Dan Marino, he's going to make a Dan Marino play. And that was a Dan Marino play at the end of the game. And that's why I think they lost.
But then explain the post-game just complete deflatedness.
I think that has to do with losing 4 in a row. I think that what Vrabel did was they lost the first game to the Bengals, and that was we're disappointed. We did dumb stuff. We hit the punter in the head, we hit the snapper in the head. We did, we let Joe Burrow break contain with bad rush lanes. We missed a 35-yard kick. We just, we screwed it. We'll be better next time. Then they got crushed by the Eagles. And I thought Vrabel's game plan reeked of stupidity going into that game. We begged them, don't do that. Do not take the run away. Take A.J. out of the game because they are going to try to throw the ball to A.J. All they're going to try to do is A.J. And the Titans say, no, we're going to take the run away. And then A.J. went bananas. And I agree with Solomon Wilcots. Like, the Titans can say all they want that John Robinson didn't get fired over A.J. and that the A.J. game didn't have absolutely the A.J. game screwed him. When we talk about Robinson firing them getting fired and having an effect on them, I do wonder how much A.J. porking them has had an effect on them from a mental standpoint of their confidence and everything else. So the AJ game happens. They fire the general manager. They lose to Jacksonville because they fired the general manager. And then, they gear up for that Charger game because the Jacksonville week was all, we're not distracted, we're not distracted, we're not distracted. The Charger game was all, hey, we're focused on the Chargers. We got to do what it takes. Everybody's got to have the right attitude. Everybody's got to bring their best effort. Everybody's got to, they do it and they lose. And it's like, now what's the answer? It was when we lost to the Bengals. Hey, we did 3 or 4 dumb things, and if we didn't do the 3 or 4 dumb things, then we would have won. Now there's a feeling of we can't beat anybody no matter what we try.
And the injuries, I think, do play a part in that, to Ian's point of we can't beat anybody.
Everybody's hurt.
And we're hurt. And we're so banged up. I think that kind of messes with your mentals a little bit. Of Kevin Byard saying, we can't win a game.
So if they had beaten Jacksonville, none of this would be that big of a deal. Like, if they had lost to the Chargers by 3 points after beating Jacksonville, we would not be sitting here. They would not be answering questions about 4-game losing streaks. And Kevin Byard couldn't say, we can't beat anybody right now because they just beat Jacksonville. So you can't say you can't beat anybody. You just beat Jacksonville. So, the Robinson thing, I think, affected them for 1 game. And that 1 game has played a big role in this tsunami. But it is not... Like, I do not think that they lost to the Chargers because John Robinson got fired.
And I don't think that it's a direct correlation. Jacksonville, maybe a little bit more of a direct correlation of just, like, everybody's psyche was not focused on the game.
You talk about stupid. The fact that they fired him before probably the most important game of the season was so ridiculous.
You think Jacksonville was the most important game of the season?
Looks like it right now.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
You win that game, the division's over.
But, if you win that game, then it wouldn't be the most important game of the season. But I do think that the John Robinson firing will have an indirect correlation to this team for the rest of the year. Whether that's the disruption.
So the fact that the Jacksonville game, they're going to have to bring everybody back, even though they may not be 100% healed, and then they beat Jacksonville and they don't have any confidence because they just beat Jacksonville, but Jacksonville sucks, and it ends up, the 6-game losing streak going into Jacksonville, as opposed to if they had beaten Jacksonville 2 weeks ago and then had the confidence to say, okay, everybody's resting. Autry, you're sitting out. Tannehill, you're sitting out. Burks, you're sitting out. Fulton, you're sitting out. Hooker, you're sitting out. You guys take some time, and we'll try to be ready, for the playoff game against the Ravens, and then you have everybody healthy for that Ravens playoff game. It would have almost been like getting a bye week, before you have the...
It'd be nice to have that week to get everybody rested and say,
Right.
everybody sit, and then we'll just...
And they are unlikely to have that now because they fired John Robinson. I agree with that.
And I also think that part of Vrabel's whininess could be correlated to...
737-1025, 615-737-1025. And now that we know the temperature of the team, do you think that Amy Adams Strunk maybe wishes she could do it again? We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
New Year's Eve. It's time. Iowa.
Touchdown, Iowa.
Kentucky.
And that's a Kentucky touchdown.
The TransPerfect Music City Bowl lives on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 93.3 Classic Hits. Join Caroline Fenton for the official pregame show at 10, followed by kickoff at 11. The TransPerfect Music City Bowl is presented by
High Five Buys and the Nashville Sheriff.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 93.3 Classic Hits.
There's never a good time for your furnace to go out, especially in the winter, but it's always a good time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Response to Genesis Diamond's remarkable free financing offer has been so incredible that we're extending it through Christmas Eve. Last minute shoppers, we've got you covered with 5 years zero interest financing on any purchase with $0 down. So you can splurge on that handcrafted diamond ring and spread it over 60 whole months. Studs, bracelets, necklaces, bands, every color and every shape, starting at only $35 a month with $0 down. You can use this amazing offer on anything. Designer engagement rings, classics like diamond pendants and bracelets. All our hand-selected GIA certified diamonds are included, and so are our luxury pre-owned Rolexes. At Genesis, we've got our best collection ever, with case after case of stunning gifts that are romantic and timeless. And with Genesis guaranteed best value price and 5 years zero interest, zero down financing offer, you can make this the best Christmas ever and still stay in budget. Merry Christmas from Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs, on approved credit.
OrderGreen.com. You know them by now. They're my only choice for high-quality THC and CBD products, and they're delivered right to my doorstep. Hey, folks, Joe Rexrode here. Yes, you heard that right. OrderGreen.com will send cannabis products right to you with discreet same-day shipping. OrderGreen.com has been great for me. Just what I need during this busy time of year. Takes the edge off physically, mentally. Terrific products, and if you use promo code Joe20, you're going to get 20% off your first purchase at OrderGreen.com. Do you have a subscription to OrderGreen.com? It'd be a lot cooler if you did. You won't be able to tell if you're in Colorado or Tennessee. Trust me, that's OrderGreen.com.
Hey guys, it's the holiday season again. But if you and your partner are having issues because of erectile dysfunction, maybe your ho-ho-ho is a bit more like a no-no-no. And if that's what's going on between you and your partner, it's probably time to call the Tennessee Men's Clinic. See, the problem with ED is that it can affect the one you love more than you might know. And getting your ED treated can often have amazing impacts on your relationship. In truth, it might be the best gift you can give to the one you love this season. The medical team at the Tennessee Men's Clinic are experts in treating ED, offering therapies having success rates as high as 90%. Their group of medical professionals can provide many different treatment options and treatment combinations to get you the results you're hoping for. You could even have great sex the day after your first appointment, and you might find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. So call the Tennessee Men's Clinic today. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes a PSA and testosterone test, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatment, sex results vary.
It's on. It's happening.
Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way, I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Honestly, I had made the decision. It was time to move forward. There was no reason to go 6, 7, 8 weeks, however long we remain in the season. It was not fair to John. It was not fair to the team. It just seemed the right thing. It gives us plenty of opportunity now to identify future candidates that we're going to interview, to get to know watch the internal candidates. It's, I'm just not that person that's going to sit on a decision like that.
Think she feels the same way now? I did not see why we should wait. I didn't make it. I made the decision. Why wait?
That's why you wait. Because you lose to the Jacksonville Jags, and now the division's interesting.
Because the Jacksonville Jaguars, literally, the Jacksonville Jaguars now have a chance to actually win this division. And they had no chance if you hadn't done what you did. And you know what I think? I can just hear Floyd chuckling about this, Ian. The irony in this, right? The Titans make a collective decision. As much as Vrabel, hints to people apparently that he didn't want to trade AJ, and now people think the owner, the QAnon rumors that she didn't know about it when she was sitting right there when it happened. John wanted the AJ trade. Nobody else wanted the AJ trade. And the reality of the Titans made a decision, and after they made the decision, it didn't necessarily work out immediately in their favor, and everybody threw up their hands, and they threw the guy that made the decision under the bus. And now she does something similar. It doesn't work out right away. And now it's like, how do you feel about that big decision you made then, huh? You thought you had you had it perfectly. We'll fire John. Team will be fine. We'll fire John. We'll get on to the playoffs. We'll get our however much million we make from having a home playoff game, and we'll move on and get ready to go. And now you might lose that millions of dollars from a home playoff game. It could be 2 home playoff games. Think about this. If the Titans are the 4 seed in the AFC playoffs and they beat the Ravens, and the 3 and the 2 get beat, somebody's coming here. So that could be 2 home playoff games. Yeah, oh yeah. That could be 2 home playoff games. And yet at the same time,
it still could happen. The Titans aren't missing the playoffs.
No,
point.
but now there's
now
a chance
it's a lot more interesting.
It was 90% to win the division when she fired him. It's 69% now. Now I guarantee you, just like John with the AJ trade, he'll never say that he regrets it. She'll never say that she regrets it. I bet now she knows why. When people are like, I don't think that was a good idea to do that then.
I don't know. Can you think that way? Because it's not like she can say, oh, well, that was a bad decision. Whoops.
Well, that's what I always say about.
My bad.
That's what I always say about firing coaches and general managers on the radio. Is if I'm going to go
once you
on
go
here,
there, you can't go back.
Right? Like I can't say okay, they should fire Vrabel, right? And then they win a game, and then I call this Adam Vingening. You can't then all of a sudden decide they won this week, so I don't think they should fire Vrabel. You can't do that because if you're in the position of actually having to make that call, I don't think it's fair to criticize the person who has to make that call and not hold yourself to the same standard that the person who has to make that call has to make.
Well, and I'm very ashamed of myself that I was pro AJ trade, and now I realize that I was completely wrong. But I am not the general manager of a football team.
See, I'm not so hell-bent on the AJ trade being the end-all be-all of everything around here.
I don't think it's the end-all be-all. It's an example that I picked.
I think Burks is going to be okay.
Burks is fine.
If Burks can stay on the field. That they got to get figured out. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. What do we have?
Chuck texts in and says, so the Jacksonville team that just came back and beat Dallas sucks.
Yes. We
have a lot of Jacksonville apologists in the text line right now.
Jacksonville's getting better. This is the one little thing where the Titans really screwed up, is you gave them life. Like they were going nowhere, a downtrodden bunch of nobodies, And they came in here and beat your butts in, and Trevor Lawrence had a great game because you got no pressure, and now all of a sudden he's the next Peyton Manning.
And I mean, this isn't a talentless team. This is a team that I looked at and thought, I think they could be pretty good in the next few years.
I mean, Zay Jones and Evan Ingram have been on every team in the NFL combined. And so the fact that they've come in here and done this, I mean, the confidence that Jacksonville's playing with, that is all given to them by you. And that is so incredibly disheartening. Jacksonville apologists. What's next?
Another texter says.
By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt here. Mike McCarthy, that freaking guy.
He's such a boob.
On 3rd down and 10, with a minute and change to go, like a minute and 10 to go, and they throw a deep ball 35 yards down the field, and it's incomplete. And so they have to punt to Jacksonville with 1 timeout.
Just get a first down.
Just
and keep marching down the field.
You don't even need a first. I mean, it'd be great. If you get a first down, the game's
down.
over. But if you just run the ball, they call that last timeout. And they can't call the timeout and use the middle of the field like they did in their comeback drive. And that's why these coaches, they get paid $9 million a year like Frank Reich, and then go out there and do the single stupidest thing I've ever seen. It amazes me every time. We've been playing football a certain way for 103 years. You did not reinvent football, Brandon Staley. What's next?
One texter says, if you think that firing the GM has anything to do with losing to the Jags, then you're completely lost.
No, hey, don't talk to me. You take it up with Solomon Wilcots.
Is that crazy?
What?
Tuesday, your GM gets fired, even though you're on the trajectory to win the division and make the playoffs and have yet another winning season to tack up onto the GM and the head coach's winning season streak. And then you lose to a team that you're better than.
I'll put it to you like this. Every football person around the league, when the Titans lost that game, knew that had something to do with it. We played all the cuts. Bob, Rich Gannon, all these people and all the football and everything else, they all said, oh, no, can't do this, can't do that. It reminds me a lot of the taking Derrick Henry off the field last week against the Chargers, where James Lofton, Hall of Fame player, is like, I wouldn't do that. Keith Bullock on Channel 5 after the game, I wouldn't do that. Hell, even Mike Keith on the official podcast, and Mike Keith, and I love Mike. Ian, if you could get that Mike Keith cut for me. Mike Keith on the team's official podcast brought up not the sack that Daly allowed, but the sack that Brewer allowed, and talked about how, I'm not saying Mike criticized the play calling, but I'll just let you hear what Mike said and you judge for yourself. This was Mike Keith on the Titans podcast.
Gaziano gets the sack for -6. It's 1st and 10 at the 25. Let's say you run Henry and get 3 yards there instead of losing 6, and it's 2nd and 7 instead of 2nd and 16. Just a killer.
Yeah.
Because it was like it started that backwards momentum that forced the 51-yard field goal.
I mean, Mike Keith is second-guessing the play calling. And so when you've got that, you screwed up Todd Downing.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about, like, the Jacksonville thing about, they fire him on Tuesday, and what do you – I'm like, well, every single person connected to football, including Solomon Wilcots right there that we played in the last segment, says it had something to do with it. So you're probably wrong, and everybody else is probably right. Pat is up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. What you got, Pat?
Thanks for taking my call. You were talking about the Jacksonville game, and I thought that they came out looking very, very good. Derek was on a roll, and I can't understand why all of a sudden they reverted back to their old ways as not being able to run, not being able to stop. The quarterback was excellent, and our defense should be better than that. Thanks.
No, I would agree. I mean, the big thing that was crazy is one week you have Roger McCreary making the best interception maybe ever, and the week before, Roger McCreary just lets an interception go right through his hands right before halftime. It's just the little things just didn't happen, that the little things when you're focused all week just didn't happen in the Jags game. But that's just me. Trevor Maddich, ESPN college football analyst. We got a bunch of big games going on with the bowl season and the playoff in Tennessee. And then we got all these guys sitting out of these bowls, and we got the draft, and you guys saying they're out, and the coaches are Deion Sanders. We'll get that with Trevor next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ESPN Titans NFL Nation reporter Teron Davenport brings knowledge.
3 touchdowns. He was processing, getting rid of the ball quickly.
Passion.
Make no mistake about it. He absolutely has to hit the ground running.
And expertise on the two-tone blue and the NFL. Join TD every Monday at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Friday morning at 8 for all the latest on your favorite team. Teron Davenport is presented by Craneworks on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Skip the drama and get the perfect gift for everyone on your list. A gift card to Twin Peaks. You don't even have to leave your couch. Just head over to bit.ly/Twin Peaks eGift to grab as many as you need and send them right to your fam's inboxes. Happy shopping.
The Nashville Sheriff is hiring correctional officers. Earn $52,500 after paid training and probation. Positions are available immediately. You must be 21 and over with a high school diploma or GED. Come, join our family. That's $52,500 with great benefits. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. Earn $52,500. Stop searching. Apply now. The Nashville Sheriff.
For the love of the climb, for the love of the fall, for the love of knowing your kids' laughter is the sweetest music there is, for the love of Tennessee, travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Boomba's Craft Pizza and Tap House invites you to join them for this year's college football bowl games and playoff action. Georgia, Michigan, TCU, or Ohio State, who will be the last one standing? Boomba's has countless big screen TVs and the biggest video wall in Nashville at their East Nashville location. So watch it all go down and enjoy their 2-time award-winning Best Pizza in America, featured on the Food Network and 100% crafted for you. Wash it all down with their award-winning happy hour with $2 Boom Brews and select domestic pints. Boomba's Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville, 1003 Russell Street. Pizza, beer, sports. See you there, Nashville.
The Sports Talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game. Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Bowl season is upon us. We are currently in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. I could not give two poops about who's playing. My team played a bowl game on Saturday.
Did you watch it?
So here's what happened. I watched the game for about the first half. Then the Colts and the Vikings kicked off. So I put on the Colts and the Vikings. Then that game was looking like a total blowout. So I put it back on the end of the bowl game. Watched us win the bowl game. Then I put it back on the Colts and the Vikings. And then the Colts and the Vikings all of a sudden got real interesting real quickly. And by the way, I bet college did not like the fact that the NFL was like triple headers all the time now as soon as we get a little brush of fresh air. But I have a bone to pick with college football. Because right now we've got bowl season going on, including the college football playoff that is in front of us. And we've got National Signing Day coming up tomorrow. And we've got coaches that are moving around right now. And some coaches are on the hot seat. And this program might hire this guy. And this offensive coordinator might go there. And who knows about all this stuff that's going on. And you got the transfer portal. And so I think Deion Branch said last week, the coaches are also in the transfer portal now, assistant coaches. Signing day's coming up, but that's only one of the signing days. There's another signing day that's coming up. It's just all too much. Trevor Maddich joins us now, presented by Twin Peaks, home of wall-to-wall sports and 29-degree drafts, and by Houston Clinic Orthopedics when experience matters. Trevor, this is too much at one time for me to be able to siphon through what actually matters for college football. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it is too much. I mean, I don't know how the coaches do it all. Because the coaches that are getting ready for bowl games, even if some people don't think they're meaningful bowl games, they're still important because you've got 2 weeks of bowl practice, and coaches are able to get guys ready for spring ball and kind of get a springboard into next year. Then you've got recruiting coming up. And then you've got the transfer portal, which has become a completely different thing now that players can transfer one time without having to sit out for a year. So now not only are you having to recruit your own players to stay, you're having to learn the rosters of other teams so that you can see who you want when they become available, so that you don't miss the boat because you weren't sure if you wanted this guy yet or not, and some other team is sure. And then you throw into it the thing that is the biggest wild card of all, and that's NIL and the collectives. Because there right now is a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes with NIL, where a whole bunch of players thought that they were promised a certain amount of NIL money at big schools all around the country. And the money didn't materialize, or at least it hasn't materialized yet. And some of those guys are disgruntled. Some of those guys are transferring to a different spot because they're mad. A lot of teams, collectives, are promising money that they may not deliver. Teams whose collectives are promising what they will deliver seem to be less attractive to recruits and people in the transfer portal because, well, gee, they're not promising as much as the other guy, but will the other guy actually pay up? And coaches have to be on top of all these things all at the same time because their future livelihood depends on it. And so when you throw in the way the portal is and then the way NIL has become just a complete and utter roll of the dice, it's a crazy time.
Trevor, what do you make of the fact that I know it's signing day tomorrow, but I don't really care about signing day because all the good players now, it feels like it transfer anyways. So maybe there's one or two high-end recruits that go to Alabama or go to Georgia and become Jalen Carter, but it almost feels like now the teams, they just go get players off other teams. And I mean, like Alabama's best player this year, other than their quarterback, might have been their running back who transferred from Georgia Tech. So it's like, oh, great, that you're signing them now, but that doesn't mean that they're actually going to play for your school when it matters. What do you make of that?
Right. Well, the transfer portal and not having to sit out for a year has been good and it's been bad. I mean, we know of the good, where you see Caleb Williams, quarterback transfer from Oklahoma to USC, re-energizes that program, wins the Heisman Trophy. We see a lot of things like that. But last year, there were about 1,400 players in the portal, and about half of them didn't find a home. They thought they were transferring to a place that would be better for them, and there wasn't a place at all for them.
So was that like 700 players just quit college football after that?
Well, they would end up going to a much lower tier place, and so, or some of them would have to go walk on, and so it's a real problem. But then on top of that, it's transfer portal is a problem, like you mentioned, Jared, for high school recruits, because now, instead of bringing in a high school recruit that needs a year or two in a college weight room to really fill out and be ready to contribute right away, who, and we hear about the guys that come in as freshmen and light things up, but it's more common that you'll get a defensive end in at 6'4", 255, and they need to get him to 280 before he can really do what they need him to do, right? And so a year or two in the weight room, and then, a year or two with college coaching to really get up to speed. Well, now you don't have to invest in that. You can save 5 or 10 scholarships that you would normally have given to those young guys that you would then try to develop, and use those scholarships on transfers who have already been in college, in the weight room and college coaching, et cetera, for a year or two. And you can bring them in a better position to be ready to contribute right away. Now, the problem is you don't have guys for, 3 years or 4 if they redshirt sometimes. You've got, it's not necessarily a one and done all the time, but, there's less continuity and more turnover on the roster than there even normally is. But the upside is you've got more guys on the roster. Well, really any tier, that's good enough to play in the SEC. Maybe a lower tier recruit for the SEC, but they could play there. Now all of a sudden they have to go to a different conference because their scholarship is being held for a future transfer. So there are all kinds of things that are sort of the wild, wild west that are good for some people, bad for others, and we really don't know exactly where things are going right now. But I mean, right now, to me, you look at Kentucky, right? So Will Levis, their quarterback, is expected to be one of the top quarterbacks taken in the draft, right, coming up.
Sure.
Well, they just signed Devin Leary as a transfer quarterback from NC State. Okay, good. Hey, good for Kentucky, good for Devin, good to go. Alabama, former 5-star recruit offensive lineman Tommy Brockermeyer just transferred to TCU. And so you've got guys moving around, but those guys that are the top guys aren't the ones I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the guys that will struggle to find a home or won't find a home at all because of this new wild, wild west of the transfer portal.
Trevor Maddich, our guest. What really drives me crazy about this, though, Trevor, is the fact that the season is not over. I mean, we still have the college football playoff. We don't know who the champion's going to be. This would be like if during the playoffs, on Sunday, the Cowboys are playing the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, but meanwhile, round 1 of the draft will start Saturday night. Like, am I the only person out there that thinks that that's freaking stupid?
No, it's nuts. I mean, just take a look at the chaos of the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. Your guys, Louisville, just waxed Cincinnati.
Oh, we kicked that ass. Deion Branch right there, babe.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, he did a great job, right? And what I loved about Louisville in that game was that they just turned the defense completely loose. They just attacked like crazy, and Cincinnati wasn't able to handle the pressure. And Cincinnati only managed 1 touchdown for the game, and Louisville won. That's great. But you've got these players preparing for a bowl game, playing in a bowl game with interim coaches, sometimes with graduate assistants and other non-on-the-field coaches, coaching them for the game because their coaches have moved on, and there's still a game to be played. And you're right. It's just absolute chaos. It's just absolutely nuts. Now, I'm not saying there's something that can be done about that, but I am saying that it's just a completely crazy thing. And again, the guy I feel bad about is that late bloomer in high school who wasn't really on people's radar, who didn't get a commitment as a sophomore or a junior. All of a sudden, as a senior in high school, he becomes a player that's worthy of a certain level of scholarship. And that scholarship's not there because the team that he would have gone to, or the level of team, they're holding scholarships available for transfers later. You know, it's good for junior colleges, good for lower tier schools because they're getting some pretty good freshmen, but at the same time, you know, it's nuts.
You know what's crazy, too? Trevor Maddich is with us, is that I'm sitting there watching the Fenway Bowl the other day, and I'm the only person in America who's watching this game. But I'm watching it, and, you know, it's like, this is the showdown at the Wasabi Fenway Bowl today, and they show the crowd, there's nobody there, and they show that this is one team's interim coach, this is the other team's interim coach, and it's like, wow. But then more importantly, they did interviews with the actual coaches of the teams, and the interviews were the coach, like, in his office, like it's a regular Tuesday. Like, I'm like, I don't even think the coach is watching the game. It's like the coach, he's the head coach at Cincinnati. The team that he used to coach is playing in the game. The team that he now coaches is playing in the game. And he's sitting there at his desk in his office like, hey, Janice, can you pull up Billy on line 2, please? Thank you. It's like, holy crap. What are we doing here? That I found to be ridiculous, Trevor.
Yeah, it's weird. And these games are hard to handicap as well. I mean, I actually had this one in my picks. I picked the under, and it hit the under. There was they only totaled 31 points, and I think
I wouldn't bet a bowl game if you put a gun to my head. I wouldn't bet a bowl game.
Jeez Louise.
No, but see, this is why I did it.
How can you do it? How can you bet a bowl game, Trevor?
This particular one, I figured you've got two interim coaches that are going to want to win. They're not going to want to make a big mistake and show themselves to be a complete idiot. So they're going to play conservatively to start with on offense. Both sides starting quarterback were out for different reasons, right? And so I'm putting all that together along with potential cold weather. And I'm thinking, okay, the under's a pretty good pick on that one, and it hit. But, like, I stayed completely away from Florida, Oregon State because Florida had like 20 guys or more actually either transfer out, declare for the NFL. They were hurt.
They played like
they
it,
opted
too.
Out. Yeah, they did. But the thing that I didn't know was, okay, so you got a first-year head coach. You've got a bunch of young players that now have 2 weeks in practice to get ready to go, and they want to show the head coach that they're ready to roll. And I thought Florida might come out on fire. Well, Florida didn't come out on fire. You know, so I stayed away from that game because I wasn't sure what the young players of Florida were going to do.
More with Trevor Tennessee is in the Capital One Orange Bowl. Is it still Capital One? I think it's still Capital One, right?
I think so.
I mean, I don't want to mess
Capital
that
One Orange Bowl.
There you go. Tennessee's in that, and we got the Music City Bowl. Kentucky might have a new coordinator. Trevor, we'll get into that. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown.
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Partly cloudy skies heading into the overnight. We'll look at temperatures dropping back to around the freezing mark. Another warm day on tap. Highs in the low 50s. We'll look for partly cloudy skies, turning mostly cloudy with a few showers. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Give the gift of luxury this holiday season. Nothing is more elegant than a trip to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Gift cards from Bob's Steakhouse or Mocara Day Spa make wonderful gifts for any occasion, especially during the holidays. The foodie in your life will enjoy an evening of fine dining from the award-winning Bob's Steakhouse. Bob's Steakhouse specializes in serving big, flavorful steaks next to Texas-sized portions of delicious sides. The special person in your life will be comforted with the gift of relaxation and rejuvenation when they receive a gift card to Mocara Day Spa. Let the spoiling begin with a soothing facial, hot stone massage, body treatment, salon service, or mani-pedi. Bob's Steakhouse and Mocara Day Spa in the luxurious Omni Nashville Hotel. Purchase your gift cards today.
Hi, this is Ben Talbot, local owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. We have a lot to be grateful for this year, and I want to say thank you to our customers in Nashville and throughout Middle Tennessee. I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday season from Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville.
Ho, ho, ho! Santa Barkley's back, now delivering $20 million in gifts this holiday season to all FanDuel customers. Doesn't matter if you've been naughty, nice, or terrible. Just check your FanDuel app for no-sweat same-game parlays, casino bonuses, and all sorts of stuff that'll fill you with holiday cheer.
21 and up and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Achieve hero status this year. The woman in your life will love this unique and thoughtful gift. Always in style, always fits, always appreciated. Choose your budget, and whether you spend a little or go lavish, she can choose from 10 different services, all under one roof at a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. Gift cards can be printed directly from the website, or they can be beautifully wrapped for a stunning presentation and even paired with other gifts like robes, candles, and all sorts of fun finds from the Gift Boutique. Learn more about this at amomentspeace.com/Christmas.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Chase McCabe.
Competition in all positions.
Willie Donick.
You know what? I went on the radio and I tried.
And Derek Mason.
The man that sleeps on the floor never falls out to bed.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
I think it's great for Tennessee that they'll be playing in the Orange Bowl. Trevor Maddich is with us, ESPN college football analyst, presented by Twin Peaks and by Houston Clinic Orthopedics. But Trevor, with all the guys that are going to sit out because they don't want to hurt their draft status, and I get that, because this is basically an exhibition. It's like a preseason game. And with Hendon Hooker hurt, and so Joe Milton will play, do you think that there is really anything on the table for Tennessee if they beat Clemson in the Orange Bowl that is actually tangible and can be propelled into next season?
Yes, they're ranked 6th in the nation right now, and the college football playoff committee is done with their rankings, but the AP is not. And they can move up if they beat Clemson. They'll get bragging rights. They compete directly with Clemson. Hang on. They compete directly with Clemson for recruits, and they have a chance in a huge national showcase to confirm that they are the place that you want to go if you're a quarterback or a receiver and you want to get big NIL money, you want to put up huge numbers, you want to go to Tennessee. And Clemson's defense is perceived to be fantastic, but they've had all kinds of injuries in their on their defense, especially in the secondary. And now Miles Murphy is declaring early for the draft, and he won't be playing, so you don't have to worry about him on the defensive line. And so Tennessee has a chance to go into the offseason with a ton of momentum and looking really good and give themselves a huge burst and a jolt for recruiting.
Yeah, but I mean, like, did it hurt Utah that they lost in the Rose Bowl to Ohio State last year? And did it help Ohio State that they won the Rose Bowl last year against Utah? It was a good game. Jackson Smith and Jigba went crazy. But other than that, I mean, did that really affect this season?
Well, it kind of does, because recruits now, social media has made memories just microscopic. I mean, the memory of a gnat. I mean, what happened in the last 2 minutes, right? Because, I mean, if you post something on Twitter or on Instagram and in 5 minutes you don't have enough likes, if people kind of ignore it, then you want to put something else on there to get more likes and get more response. That's the way those are programmed, by the way. And you've got a generation now, it's a couple generations actually, of social media users who are literally trained. Their minds are programmed for 15-minute attention spans. TikTok does that. And so what college teams do lately is important, because that emotion is sort of like a like button. And what do recruits want right now? They want to be a star. They want to be a star on social media and an influencer on social media. They want to get big NIL money. And then they want to go to the NFL, probably in that order. The NFL probably is not the number one thing like it used to be, because you can get NIL money now. And how do you do that? Well, you do that by putting up huge numbers. And Tennessee's offense has shown it can do it. But what you don't want is to have a massive, ugly loss to South Carolina, followed up by, forget Vanderbilt, followed up by, getting spanked by an ACC team that was totally depleted with opt-outs and transfers. Because it's not necessarily going to end their momentum, but it certainly will extend their momentum if they win. I think there's a lot at stake for Tennessee in this game.
Trevor Madish is with us. Trevor, I think right now, kind of in the infancy stages of NIL, you have two schools of thought. You have some schools like a Miami or a Texas A&M who dish out tons of NIL dollars bring in recruits. Well, Deion Sanders does recruiting on his own time. And then you look at programs like the Georgias and the Alabamas that kind of subscribe more to the belief of you can earn your NIL dollars. We're not going to give you the big deals in order to get into our program. And I don't think we're really going to know what is, quote unquote, the right way to do it for another few years after we can see it kind of unfold for the next few years. But for right now, do you have an interpretation of what you think is going to be the, quote, right way to recruit in terms of the NIL?
I think they're not sure. What you're not supposed to do, Caroline, is pay players NIL money to sign with the school.
Yeah,
it's supposed
but we're
to be
smarter
what you
than
said.
that.
Right. All you have to do is just change the way you phrase the contract, because what's going to end up happening is you could have, and you have this happening now, by the way. You have schools doing it the right way, saying, look, we're not going to promise you big NIL money right now because that's illegal. We want you to come here, develop, earn value, and then your NIL money will come. But the competing school is recruiting by saying, we're going to give you $500,000 if you sign with us. And so there are recruits that have gone to schools for big money like that. Some have gotten it, some have not gotten it, and they're really mad. You look at A&M right now. I mean, famously, they signed the number one class in the country last year, and Nick Saban said that they bought all those players with NIL, and then he walked that back. But it's kind of, the evidence shows that. But here's the thing. Texas A&M is losing a ton of guys to the transfer portal now. Why? Did they all get paid like they thought they were going to get paid? And so how to manage the promise of NIL money with the NIL money that actually will get paid out is really important, because if you lose credibility, word will get around, and then you can offer recruits all kinds of NIL money, and they'll say, yeah, well, the last 2 classes transferred out of there because you didn't pay them what you promised. So how that's going to happen, I think it remains to be seen.
So, like, honestly, I don't care about any of that. Like, I'm sure you guys, because you guys live in the college football 24/7 society, like, I mean, just tell me who we're playing. Like, just, like, let's go. Like, I will be watching in September who's playing who. I will watch the playoff this year. I'll probably watch the big bowl games, and then I'll forget about college football, and then it'll be
because you don't like college football.
I like it fine.
No, you don't.
But I don't care about, did Kentucky's NIL collective make their payments on time to Johnny Joe, who's 18 years old? I don't care about that.
I think it's important because you either, one, you make the payments, and then a player collected their dollars and they're like, I'm out of here and I'm going to where I actually did want to play. Or they didn't pay dividends and those players are out because they didn't get what they were promised.
I know, but think about it like this. Do the people that are listening to this show right now care if I pay my mortgage or not?
Well, that's different because your mortgage doesn't win championships.
Yeah, but you know who cares if you pay your mortgage or not is the company that holds your mortgage. And so as far as fans go, yeah, just wake me up when the season starts and let me know who's on the team and I'll root for them. But coaches are in the thick of this thing because their jobs depend on getting the top talent. And if they don't manage this correctly, they're not going to be getting the top talent. I just counted up while you guys were talking there. Texas A&M looks like they have 26 players in the transfer portal. 26
How do you
players.
have a team with 26 guys in the transfer portal? How do you build a team where you can go get 26 guys out of the transfer portal?
You can.
Well, you only get 25 scholarships, but yeah, you might, and then they're also compensatory. But when you look at Texas A&M's guys, and again, this is sort of indicative. Here's a guy with 3 years of eligibility remaining, 3 years, 4 years, 4 years, 4 years, 3 years. These are young players that are transferring out of there, and we don't know if this is because of broken promises with NIL money. We don't know that right now. I think at some point we will. But behind the scenes, there's this swirling cauldron of awful for coaches in terms of how they're going to deal with this. Fans, whatever, players are trying to get their money. Some will, many won't. But at the same time, coaches, to build a roster, because you could end up losing your entire starting offensive line, for goodness sake, if you're not careful. And then what do you do?
Then you become Vanderbilt. Well, you know what? We should just have a draft in college football and go from there. I'm over the whole
Yeah, well, it's going to get worse before it gets better, Jared. I mean, really, it's going to get really a lot worse. You know what's going to come out on top with this, though, is the collectives and the schools that are honest with players about what's available for NIL, because over the course of several years, that will trickle out. And recruits and their representatives, by the way, because now you can get representatives for NIL. And you're not supposed to have representatives for signing a grant and aid and all that, but they will eventually realize who's telling the truth and who's not. And the teams that are suffering now because they're telling the truth about what's actually available, those teams I think will do better down the road.
So here's what I'm glad is over, though. This era of college football where, Trevor, you'd drive all the way out to Utah to go meet with the coaches and on the tour during the summer. And you'd come away with, the reason why our recruiting class, Trevor, was so good this year was because, all these kids really got to know Coach Needleson. And Coach Needleson just really has a way when he gets in there with the mama, and he has a way of just getting them to understand about how Utah's the best for them. They're going to be like, Coach Needleson got the most money, and that's how we got all these players.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And you know what? It's
and
just,
that, to me,
at least
you talk
it's
about
more transparent.
You talk about Nick Saban at Alabama, and people are saying that, hey, well, Georgia has now eclipsed him, and maybe their time has passed and all that. If that's true, it won't be because Nick Saban doesn't coach or recruit any worse than he did before, or that anybody else coached or recruited any better. It will be because of the collectives, and which collectives are the most effective.
I hate to cut you off there, Trevor, but I'm up against it. But let me say this. Bo Nix returning to Utah, I think the most under the radar story in college football. Oregon, the most underrated story in college football. I think Bo Nix is going to be the number one pick in next year's draft. And I believe that the Oregon Ducks are going to win the national championship. You heard it here first. I want everybody to know that.
Bold prediction.
Hot take.
Maybe because my friend is now the new offensive coordinator there, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get on the train early.
You made your take.
I am going to get on the train early of the Oregon Ducks so that when they get there, I'm going to be like, you have to invite me because I said it. Trev, great stuff as always. Enjoy the bowl games. We'll see you on TV.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, Trevor Maddich joining us as he always does. Oregon Ducks, baby.
Quack, quack.
Hey, you know what? I'm here for it.
And a draft with Caleb Williams, Bo Nix.
It's a lot.
Taking over him.
Oh, my God. Floyd hated Bo Nix as a freshman. I'm like, dude is 18 years old. He's like, yeah, I can't stand him.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix, like.
So my buddy got
what's he
hired.
ever done? He's like the Kirk Cousins of college football.
My buddy from college got hired as the OC at Oregon.
That's so huge for him.
And, I mean, yeah, I was like,
That's
hell
awesome.
yeah. I was like, let's go. And yet, then when I saw Bo Nix was coming back to college, I was like,
tough scene for him in his first year.
Coming up next, something is up with Derrick Henry, and I don't know what it is, and I'm worried. Next, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
The doors on the board. Touchdown at TSU.
We live the game.
Going up against that defense, he can make some plays and take that next step.
We are.
A gutty performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Preds Report.
Presented by Newton Nissan.
One of the best games of the year for the Nashville Predators, Monday night at Bridgestone Arena. They were matched up against the Edmonton Oilers, a team that overwhelmed them last week in Nashville. Nashville, as they did last week, got off to a 1-0 lead. Matthias Ekholm with the goal. The Oilers then tied it up, and then the Predators came back and got a goal, a power play score, and that gave them a 3-2 lead. But in the third, under 2 minutes gone, there was the big goal, and then we go to overtime.
And the score! Overtime goal! Scored by Alexander Carrier.
Carrier with the game winner. Predators take it 4-3. Stay tuned for the Predators taking on the Blackhawks in Chicago tomorrow night.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. Being arrested doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. Being served with custody paperwork doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It may feel that way, but if you have Amanda J. Gentry representing you, you can feel confident that you're going to have the best quality representation in all of Middle Tennessee. Amanda J. Gentry goes wherever justice demands. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Nothing says I love you like the gift of jewelry. A sapphire ring, a diamond necklace, a colored gemstone earring, an anniversary band. And around here, the diamond destination is Genesis Diamonds. With decades of experience, our legendary value combined with worldwide connection, Genesis is here to help make this Christmas the most unforgettable ever. And to make it easy to splurge, our special 0% finance offer has been extended through Christmas Eve. So you can make any holiday purchase and spread your payments over 5 years and enjoy an interest rate of 0% with absolutely nothing down. Our showcases are filled with exquisite diamond rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, as well as a fabulous selection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, starting as low as $35 a month with nothing down. And if you're planning an engagement this holiday season, this special finance offer includes all of our designer engagement rings and all GIA certified diamonds. Buy now, spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest and nothing down. Say I love you louder than ever this holiday with the gift of diamonds from Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills in Cool Springs. Approved credit.
Tennessee has lots of buried pipelines, so it's important to know the signs of a leak, like if you smell unusual odors or hear hissing, see bubbling earth or water, or dead or dying vegetation. Some signs are even harder to miss, like dirt being blown into the air, a frost ball in an open field, or a flame coming from the ground. If you see any of these signs, don't wait. Leave the area immediately and call 911 or your pipeline company. For more tips on pipeline safety, visit pipesafety.org. A message from the Tennessee Gas Association, Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
1, 2, 3. I think it was a good game. You had a couple of big plays.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. So the Titans today started practice this week because they play on Saturday, with that being Christmas Eve, and of course Sunday is Christmas. So today was Wednesday, even though it's really Tuesday, and Derrick Henry met with the media. And I did not, usually Derrick Henry doesn't say a lot. So we just kind of, on Thursdays when Derrick talks, we keep an eye on it, but we never really invest in a Derrick Henry press conference. So today I was keeping an eye on it, and all of a sudden, after the first question and answer, I'm like, who peed in this man's cereal this morning? And so here's just some examples of Derrick Henry this morning, or I should say this afternoon. Derrick Henry was asked by TD about the team's attitude, a very generic question for a team on a 4-game losing streak, was kind of asked about the team's attitude. Here was Derrick Henry.
Throughout the last 4 weeks, have you seen the energy in practice and transferring the game? Have you seen that consistent? And then is it the same, as you guys came into the building this week to prepare for this game?
Our energy is always going to be the same. We got to come to work. We got to get better. And I think that's been the main focus. I think guys have been positive and want to do whatever they can to, get us better and, help us, go out there and get a win. And I think the guys have the same positive attitude this week.
He sounds positive. Then Corey Curtis asked him about the first 4-game losing streak of his career.
First 4-game skid you guys have been on since you've been here. Has that changed the mood in there?
Has it changed the mood since I just said everybody has positive energy and nobody's going to be negative? That doesn't help anything. Guys just got to come back, go to work, and get better. Try to go out and get a win.
He's like, I just said, Corey.
Being negative doesn't do anything.
Come on, Corey. Then Derrick Henry was asked about a game being on a Saturday instead of Sunday.
David asked you about the short week. What is the challenge when you do have a short week and you come off a West Coast trip and Tuesday should be a day off for you. Instead, you're on the practice field. What do you have to do, I guess, mentally, physically, as a team to get ready to play?
Just prepare. We played on Thursday. We just play on Saturday, one day closer. So I don't think nothing's changed as far as what we do and how we prepare. I just think you just got to be locked in and focused.
What do you do? Prepare. So Derrick Henry was in that kind of mood. Just to compare it with something, this was Derrick Henry 8 days ago after the loss to the Jags. So it's not like, Derrick Henry was coming off of a 900-yard performance and grinning ear to ear, but this is what Derrick Henry sounded like 8 days ago compared to today.
Coach always says culture is not built on when everything is going good. It's built on when, you're at your worst. How's our culture going to withstand, with everything going bad. And I think leadership just need to step up. I need to step up and, just rally together, stay together. Like I said, we've been through adversity before. This one is definitely tough, but all you can do is just make corrections, get better, and go out there and try to win the game and, work throughout the week, make each other better and, continue to do those things. I've been saying over and over the past couple of weeks, but, that's all it is to it. That's all you can do.
That was very insightful 8 days ago compared to what he was putting out there today.
And even the tone is so different because Derrick Henry doesn't have peaks and valleys. He has pretty much one just monotone kind of level. And that was the normal monotone level. But what we heard from him today was like a new low. It was like, I just want to be done with this. I want to stop talking to you people. I don't want to be here.
So Caroline saw this, and I have to talk about this. So the Titans on YouTube is this YouTube where you saw this?
YouTube, yeah.
Okay, so the Titans have, like, when you go to click the video, it says media availability, and today was Vrabel, Roger McCreary, and Derrick Henry. And on the left side, Mike Vrabel has got, like, this mean, mad look, like, Mike Vrabel. And then on the right side, it's Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry. And Roger McCreary's in the middle with the biggest freaking smile.
Cheesing.
I mean, just like, I'm just so glad I got invited to the media session with Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry, and I can't stop looking at this. It's like Vrabel is just like, I don't want to do this press conference.
His eyebrows are like burrowed, and he's looking like a side eye, like, who wants to ask me a question?
Oh, and then there's Henry, who's like, and then there's McCreary. I'm so glad I got that interception.
Y'all see that play?
Somebody asked me a question, and I cannot stop looking at this. And the reality is, like Roger McCreary today, I mean, he didn't really say anything worth talking about, but Roger McCreary, I mean, he was full of energy up there. I mean, the vibe of this, like, whoever did this for the Titans in their video department, whoever did this captured the vibe of today's press conferences perfectly.
But I wonder if they originally just had Vrabel and Henry, and they thought, eek, we need to throw a little bit of positivity in there because that looks like an awfully menacing thumbnail that nobody wants to click on.
Well, but McCreary was the guy who went it. Like, McCreary did go, like, there was only 3 people that went.
He was awfully jolly today.
But it's like, it's not the McCrearys of the world or the Nick Westbrook-Akinas or the DeMarcus Walkers that are out there oozing negativity.
It's the team leaders.
It's Derrick Henry and Kevin Byard.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, what's going on here? That's what I have a hard time with. I mean, and again, this was not, and I don't know if it's because the team was trying to get out fast or if SoFi Stadium is different, but it was not the typical post-game press conferences that we're used to on the road where Vrabel goes to the podium, Henry goes to the podium, Tannehill goes to the podium, and then all the other guys are in the locker room. It was Vrabel at the podium, everybody else in the locker room. And because it's Los Angeles, only a handful of people went. Like News Channel 5 went, Kaharski went, TD went, and that honestly might have been it. Like, I don't know if Gentry or any of those guys from the Tennessean went. I don't know. But, the videos that come out, it was like the tone after the game. Byard was so down. And all Tannehill was really, Tannehill was robotic Tannehill. Other than talking about his ankle the whole time, he was like very, we just didn't make the plays out there. We got to make the plays. We have the confidence that we can make the plays. Again, the robot Tannehill, just how he's been taught to answer at press conferences.
Right.
And then, so you get the Byard negativity after the game. You get Vrabel acting like a total pee pants yesterday at the press conference. And then you got Henry today, who's like not even making eye contact with people.
He was looking down at the podium the whole time.
I mean, just the whole time. And again, there's Roger McCreary, and he's just happy to be here. And I wonder, like, what does that tell us about this team? That Derrick Henry is like a 16-year-old girl who's out to eat with her parents. I shouldn't say a girl because guys do this too. It's like a 16-year-old who's out to eat with their parents. And it's like, how was school today? Mom, are you dating anybody?
I told you.
Mom.
No.
Stop being weird. Like, that's what the vibe of Derrick Henry's press conference was. And I hate to say it, but I would just hope that the leaders would maybe give me a little bit more as they're getting ready for, it's not a big game, but as they're getting, trying to turn the page off this losing streak, can we get a little positivity? Goodness gracious.
And I think, too, that's the more concerning thing to me is it's the leaders that are down and out on this team.
Mm-hmm.
It's the leaders, the ones that are supposed to be like, nope, get up, come on. We have lost way more games than we should have, but we got more games to play. Get off your butts. Let's go work hard. Let's get back out there. Let's go win some games. Let's turn things around. That's what your leaders do. Leaders aren't doing that.
So I don't think we have ever played a clip in the, what is this, our 8th season, Ian?
I don't know. It was what, August 2016? So, I don't know, 7th season maybe? I have to do the math.
So this is our 7th season of the Jared and the GM Stillman and Company program. I don't think we have ever played a clip from Amy Wells, the sideline reporter of the Titans. But there is and not to say that she, doesn't say, I just don't think we ever have. But some insight from Amy Wells that I found fascinating about, really the psyche of the team. And we'll get to that, plus your phone. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals, in addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses. We will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Hey Nashville, TJ Anderson here. With real estate listings, you have to read between the lines. Like waterfront property, more like a mosquito farm. Pride of ownership, they're really proud of the DIY job they did. Seller says sell. Really? I thought they just put it on the market for fun. My team at TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty is ready to help both home buyers and sellers decode the market. Oh, and if it says don't let this one pass you by, it's probably on wheels. Google TJ Anderson Homes, read our reviews, and see why we are referred for a reason. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, 615-432-2919.
When it comes to procuring my adult beverages for the big games, I saddle up and head to Red Spirits and Wine. Red's titanic selection of beer, wine, distilled spirits, and cigars is second to none. And Red's Cracker Jack crew always delivers a winning combination of service and value. There's no two ways about it. Red is top of the range. Open 7 days a week at Highway 70 South in Bellevue. And check us out at redspirits.com.
Signs First, Nashville's leading locally owned and operated sign and physical media company, has been supporting local community organizations for over 30 years. Signs First offers a 10% discount to all churches, nonprofits, and charities. Go to sfnash.com.
You look at yourself in the mirror every day and you can't deny it anymore. Your hair is not as thick as it used to be, and it's making you feel self-conscious. Hair Club is here to save the day. For 45 years, Hair Club has helped more than 500,000 clients love their hair and feel confident again. No matter what stage of hair loss, they can help. Hair Club can customize a solution just for you. For a limited time, get 10% off when you book a free consultation today at hairclub.com/chase.
Hey, this is Edwin Vickery at Mercedes-Benz of Music City in Nashville, Tennessee. We have a lot to be thankful for this year, and I want to say thank you to our customers in Nashville and Middle Tennessee. I hope everybody has a safe and happy holiday season.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Now you can take a shot at picking up that first down, but you've told Ryan Tannehill, try not to take a sack. If it's not there, throw the ball out of bounds away from the defenders.
Infield goal range. From here, it will be a 42-yard attempt. 3rd and 9. Haskins goes in motion. Tannehill takes the sack, the one thing he could not do. Morgan Fox crashing down along with Chris Rump, and it goes for a 10-yard loss.
You're right, Andrew. They push him to the edge of field goal range for Bullock.
Officially a 51-yard attempt. This is the first time Bullock has attempted a field goal from beyond 50 this year, and it's no good. That sack by Ryan Tannehill, an absolute killer.
Was Randy hitting from that range in warm-ups and half?
I guess he just missed the kick.
You know what, Mike? You're not wrong. He did miss the kick.
He did, in fact. Official Titans podcast this morning. And, Mike Keith and Amy Wells and Rhett Bryant. And I was just listening to their thoughts on the Charger game. And I wasn't really thinking much of it. I was just listening to it. And Amy Wells, the sideline reporter for the team's radio broadcast, brought up how she felt on the sidelines. And this is where, this is what, a sideline reporter should do. This is not, you know what I freaking hate? And I know that people are wondering, what did she say? Because that's, the meat of what we're about to talk about.
Right.
Promise we'll get to that in a second. I just want now to get something off my chest. When the CBS will have a sideline reporter and they'll be like, that was a tackle by Rashad Weaver and Johnny Joe down on the sidelines. Johnny, this has been a big week for Weaver. Yeah, I talked to Coach Mike Vrabel during the week, and he said that Rashad Weaver has 18 friends and family in attendance today. And I talked to Weaver, and he said this is a big game for our team and a big game for me. Back to you. It's I don't care about that. Tell me if the guy's foot's broken. That's what I want to know. So
the worst is when sideline reporters have those big old thermostats on the games when it's really hot and really cold, and they're holding up look, it's 102 degrees. Wow.
But at least that's something on the field that you're telling me about, not
I can take your word for it. I don't need a massive
on Zoom
clock-sized thermostat to tell me that it's hot. I see it. It's August.
So Amy Wells is on the Titans sideline doing the sideline reporting for the radio broadcast, and this is what she said, that sideline. This is what she said happened when that series went down.
The game's still tied at 7-7 at that point. So it's anybody's contest going into the fourth quarter. And you think that if they can just get some points to pull ahead, that's really going to help this offense kind of find their footing and close out strong. And when that ball didn't go through the uprights, it's a 51-yard field goal, so it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it just felt like I was standing behind the offense and you could see all of the air go out of everybody's lungs. Everybody slumped down. It was another frustrating thing on top of a series of frustrating things throughout the game. And you could just see it in the eyes of these players. Everything they were trying to do, it felt like they'd take one step forward and 2 steps back. And that missed field goal felt like a visual representation of that.
So she's standing there on the sidelines, and she said she could just basically feel the air of the team just completely go out. And I keep thinking about what really tears teams apart. And I think about moments like this where Dennis Daly is involved in giving up a sack, and everybody already knows Dennis Daly's struggling. And so now you've got these defensive players that have poured their heart into this game. You've had the interception from McCreary, the interception from Byard, and it's the defense is looking over at the offense can you guys just help us out a little bit? And the offense is looking at each other it's a 51-yard field goal. It's not an 81-yard field goal. It's a 51-yard field goal. And they're looking at the coordinator who's taking Derrick Henry off the field on 3rd down and 2, who's drawing up a pass play, on the 3rd and 9 where they're in field goal range and they get taken out of field goal range. And it's Tannehill didn't get the ball out of his hands like James Lofton said. He's got to get the ball out of his hands. And it's like Pat McAfee says, everybody in the NFL always has somebody whose fault is happens to never be that person's fault. So everybody always has he didn't, and it's never I didn't, unless it's Brady who always just points the finger at himself. And I just thought that I found that to be so insightful from Amy Wells that's what happened on that sideline. And that's why it's no coincidence that the defense that had hung tough all day immediately gives up a 5-play drive for a touchdown for the Chargers. And now it's 14-7. And now it's all that work they put into this game is just right down the drain. And it's because they couldn't block it well enough. And the scheme stinks. And the play calling is terrible. And the kicker can't even make a 51-yard field goal.
But we knew that.
I know, but that's where teams start to get torn apart, is with things like that. That's where, hey, everybody's going to be positive. And then all of a sudden it's you can't make a 51-yard kick Everybody else in the league just asked their team get to the 37-yard line. And God forbid that we don't get there because you can't make a freaking kick, bum. And those are the kind of things that lead to guys pointing fingers, and then one guy says it, then another guy gets in there. It's like, whoa, that's not fair. You're not doing your part either, Billy. And then it's like, oh, no, you know what I mean? And I think the Dylan Radins liking the tweets last week, bad-mouthing Dennis Daly, were a humongous sign into what's really going on in there. I mean, I hate to say it, but you know the old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire? We got Byard, who's dejected and talking about who cares if we win the division. We got Derrick Henry with his most,
boo-hooey.
Yeah, like his most boo-hooey.
Pouty. He was pouty.
He was being a little crybaby today. Derrick Henry. We got Vrabel and all of his nonsense. We got the tweets that are being liked. We got all this stuff. I mean, like, there's smoke piling up now with this team. Last week we talked about Bob Shoop came on the show and talked about how on the tape the body language of the defensive players was concerning to him. Like, that's how teams get torn apart. It's just what Amy Wells was talking about how the air went out of the balloon. And that's how teams, come together, is when they win a game like that, where it's like, hey, we all did our parts. I know Dennis gave up that sack earlier, but who had the big block on Kyle Van Noy on the drive down there to tie up the game? Daly. You way to go. That's how the teams stay together, and they even, become closer because of things like that. It's like the Lions are probably coming, and the Jags. It's like, hey, everybody counted us out, and we just kept playing ball, and we went to Tennessee and did our thing, and we beat the Cowboys and did our thing, and now it's like everybody's starting to believe in each other, and the Titans are the opposite of that right now.
Well, and I don't think that we can undermine momentum.
Oh, yeah, that's
because
real.
It's a very, very powerful thing. And it's also real whenever you don't have it.
Oh, yeah.
And the Titans are experiencing that right now. As that when you just get one thing moving, when you can get one thing going, it just rolls into one thing after another. But unfortunately, that can work against you as well.
Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Tony is up next here on Stillman & Company. Thank you for calling. What you got, Tony?
Yeah, I was just wanting to maybe, first-time caller, by the way, to your show. Just wanted to maybe present a little bit of pushback to the John Robinson idea that you had about them losing the 4 games due to him.
I did not have that idea, Tony. Solomon Wilcots this morning on Sirius XM had that thought, not me. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, I agree and disagree. One, it's John Robinson's fault for the base of talent that he has in depth. If you look at the depth that they've had, the talent.
You don't think the talent on this team could have beaten the Chargers on Sunday?
Absolutely not. Not.
They were right there.
Well, they were. Look, the defense.
Do you think they could have not gotten sacked on 3rd down and 9? Like, is there any play they could have called that would have avoided Ryan Tannehill being sacked that could have led to Randy Bullock making a field goal?
Well, let me ask you: did you call Walker's name first, or did you call Simmons' name first this past weekend? And did you call either of their names or any of the Titans' defensive front, their front 7, for any sacks or turnovers in the previous game? That defense, without their starters at full strength, is only as good as I mean, look, they're playing lights out with who they have. But their defense is lacking a lot of luster from the starters and the star power that they have.
But is it John Robinson's fault that Roger McCreary didn't intercept the ball against Jacksonville and that he did make an amazing interception against the Chargers?
Yeah, sure. With all due respect, that's a player execution, all right?
So that's not John Robinson's fault.
Well, the depth of this roster right now and the money that went into it previously. Listen, here's my thing.
Can I ask what general manager in the NFL can have all these injuries and the team still be good? Like, if the Eagles were to lose Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Miles Sanders, would they be any good?
Yeah, but would that be a pattern for Philly this year? It's been a pattern in Tennessee. It hasn't been a one-year deal, brother. That's the thing. The
depth is bad? They lost Derrick Henry last year. They were the number 1 seed in the AFC. What are you talking about?
Well, you still have even Henry is dividing the locker room and saying that they're not.
And that's John Robinson's fault?
Kevin, Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the
No,
general
it is
manager
not, Tony.
the
No, it is
general
not. And the
manager
narrative
is
that you are putting up
responsible
here,
for the
thank you for your
team.
call. The narrative that you're putting up here, I think is unfair. The one thing I've said about this is you got to be fair. Did I think drafting Caleb Farley was stupid? I thought it was stupid the day it happened. I literally compared it to cryptocurrency. And I think Caleb Farley's career and cryptocurrency are in the exact same spot right now. I mean, I had buddies.
Fantasyland?
Oh, I had buddies that were like, hey, you invest in this coin and you'll have your own private island. Just watch.
And I'm friends that do love crypto.
I'm like, hey, good luck to you, Bubba, but I am not doing the cryptocurrency. I am going to invest in real things. And they're like, oh, no. You watched Caleb Farley when he's healthy. He's going to be incredible. So I was against those things. I screamed during free agency about go sign Morgan Moses, the right tackle for the Ravens. Go sign. I wanted to give him 3 years, $25 million. He got 3 years, $15 million. The Titans weren't interested. So don't say that I wasn't in on those kind of mistakes. Robinson made mistakes, but you can't sit here and say that it's John Robinson's fault they didn't win the Charger game because the Titans were in position to win the Charger game. John Robinson did not take Derrick Henry off the field for 2 consecutive 3rd and 2s. He didn't do it. I mean, good God. Like, what is the matter with you people? And then it's like, well, but the depth of the team. I'm like, there's no NFL team that can lose the players the Titans lost. The Titans have lost a $20 million pass rusher, a $15 million left tackle. They're probably second best and almost equally as valuable to Jeffrey Simmons, defensive lineman, and Danico Autry. They have lost a starting corner, an $11 million safety, a $10 million linebacker, their best middle linebacker. They've lost all of those things. Their number 1 draft choice. They lost all of them. Nobody in the league is supposed to win when you have those kind of injuries.
You could also say they lost 3 first-round draft choices.
You're talking about Radens and Farley, too? Or no, you're talking about Wilson.
Farley. Yeah.
But no team in the league can overcome that. And so you're sitting here talking about, well, the depth's not good enough. And I'm like, no team can overcome that. No team. Unless they've got, Brady. And his team stinks right now, too. Rodgers' team stinks right now. But unless you've got, like, the quarterback who can put the whole thing on himself, no team can overcome that. There's no team that has the depth to be able to lose all the things that the Titans lost and win these games. And they're right there with the Chargers, and you're bitching about the general manager who's not here anymore. And if anything, I think the fact that they won with all these injuries is actually a highlight of what the general manager was able to accomplish when he was here.
John Robinson's accomplishments late in the draft, and also to be able to, pick pieces off of the trash heap, and that's no disrespect to those players, but it is impressive.
Andrew Adams, Deontay Foreman, Dontrell Hilliard, all of those guys. And so, you have to be fair. You have to be fair. Did the Titans lose to the Bengals because they missed on 2 consecutive draft picks, and it would have been nice if they had a legitimate number 1 corner out there against T. Higgins? Yeah, you can make that argument that that's a problem. But you cannot sit there and say that this depth on this roster is John Robinson's fault and that another general manager would be able to do better with all of the injuries the Titans have had.
I think you can make that argument at some positions. Offensive line, I think that there absolutely is a depth problem.
My problem with the offensive line is not the depth. My problem is the starters. The left guard is not a starting left guard. The right tackle, this is what should have happened. They should have signed a guard or drafted a guard, high.
But either way, that's the general manager's problem.
They should have gotten a left guard. I agree. They should have gotten a left guard. They should have gotten a right tackle. Then, when Lawan tears his ACL, Petit Ferrer's playing left tackle and not Daly. Like, that's what they should have done. And you can put that. But depth is not the problem, because if everybody was healthy, the line would still stink. Because Brewer still stinks, and Petit Ferrer's still not ready. And so the line would still stink there. That's not a depth issue. That's just a bad issue. That is a mistake on Robinson. But when we're talking about the injuries and saying, oh, God, this is so awful. This is so terrible. The Titans have lost 2 games. Corey Curtis asked, I think, one of the most insightful questions about Weaver and how Weaver's break and contain in big moments in these games. The Herbert play, Mahomes play against Kansas City. Well, if that's Harold Landry out there, then that's probably not going to happen. But it's not Harold Landry. And you can't expect a general manager to all of a sudden not only just have great players at $20 million, but also have equally as good players at $700,000. That's not how this league works. That's not how this league works at all for anything. And so, my God, that caller, man. I mean, he just wants to be mad at Robinson. And so that's what he's going to say no matter what. We'll get to more of your phones. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. And Kevin Byard and Derrick Henry throwing fits, that has nothing to do with the general manager either. Unless it was the fact that they're mad at the team over the general manager, which, again, not his fault. 615-737-1025, Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106 through the game.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robbie and Rex Road every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yossi.
Matt Duchene. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3. The Game.
Happy holiday from Houston Clinic Orthopedics. Conveniently located where you live and work with various locations in and around the Nashville area. Houston's physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and many other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they strictly adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff's safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all Houston physicians and specialties, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Response to Genesis Diamond's remarkable free financing offer has been so incredible that we're extending it through Christmas Eve. Last-minute shoppers, we've got you covered with 5 years zero-interest financing on any purchase with $0 down. So you can splurge on that handcrafted diamond ring and spread it over 60 whole months. Studs, bracelets, necklaces, bands, every color and every shape, starting at only $35 a month with $0 down. You can use this amazing offer on anything. Designer engagement rings, classics like diamond pendants and bracelets. All our hand-selected GIA certified diamonds are included, and so are our luxury pre-owned Rolexes. At Genesis, we've got our best collection ever, with case after case of stunning gifts that are romantic and timeless. And with Genesis guaranteed best value price and 5 years zero interest, zero down financing offer, you can make this the best Christmas ever and still stay in budget. Merry Christmas from Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Unapproved credit.
If you've got a yard, you may plan on digging in it. Like to build an addition, put in a pool, or bury your pirate booty. But you should know that throughout the country, there may be pipelines buried underground. And if you hit one, you've got trouble. Sorry. So before you dig, call 811 to have any buried pipelines located and marked at no charge. For more tips on pipeline safety, visit pipesafety.org. A message from the Tennessee Gas Association, Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
TSU basketball lives on 102.1 The Ville. Join Coach Brian Penny Collins and the Tigers for every great moment in the OVC. On your home for TSU basketball, 102.1 The Ville and the Ville app.
Hey Nashville, Trey Wingo here. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
When that firing took place, this team was in a good space. They had lost back-to-back games to Cincinnati and then to the Eagles, and I thought A.J. Brown just kind of drove the dagger in deep. I think it hit a soft spot with that organization.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It took them so long to realize they should have never traded A.J. Brown. But I think in that moment, when they lost 35-10, he put up all those big numbers and just had spectacular performance against the Titans. For whatever reason, it hit them then, and they decided just a few days later to fire their general manager. And pretending like it had nothing to do with it. I'm sure it did. But right now, this is an organization that's going backwards. This is an organization that hadn't had a losing season since Vrabel's been there. Hadn't had a losing season since the general manager had been there. And that move almost triggered this avalanche, this decline, this precipitous decline that you see this team on.
That was Solomon Wilcox, SiriusXM NFL Radio this morning. He said it, not me, saying that it was the Robinson thing that has led to the avalanche the Titans are on. I promise phones. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Caroline, what do we have?
One texter checks in and says, well, whose fault is it that we hired Downing and who promoted him?
Well, I think that's Vrabel. I mean, I put that firmly. The coaching staff is the responsibility of the coach. So if you all want to get mad at John Robinson, don't get mad at John Robinson over Todd Downing. That's Vrabel. And I'm going to tell you something that I have realized. I was listening to Mike Lombardi on a podcast last week, and he was talking about the New England system. And the thing I've realized is that Vrabel probably resents the comparisons to Belichick or any talk about him wanting to be like Belichick, because deep down inside, I think Vrabel harbors a lot of resentment towards Belichick. But a lot of the things that he does really do ooze Belichick. I mean, some of the things he says, and really a lot of the arrogance that he carries, I think has a lot of Belichick inside of it. And when it comes to what Lombardi said, was that the New England way is that Bill likes to promote within because they understand how Bill coaches.
They get it.
And so if you bring in a running back coach from Carolina, the running back coach from Carolina is going to try to teach running backs how to run the way that he teaches them how to run. Whereas Bill wants you to teach them the Bill way. Like, I want you to teach the Bill way and be okay with the way Bill does things. I think that Vrabel promoted Downing because he saw what Arthur Smith was doing, and he was the tight ends coach for Arthur Smith and had play calling experience. And so Arthur was doing things the Vrabel way, and now I want you to continue to do things the Vrabel way. And so he brings in Todd Downing because the other guy that he wanted, Tim Kelly, the Texans would not allow the Titans to interview. And so then once Vrabel decides, like, he's my guy, my coach, I hired him, I know, I'm the expert, just like he's been with every other coach, it feels like, on this staff that anybody talks about, like his trainers and his strength and conditioning coaches and everything else. And my guy, I know, my system, that I feel like Vrabel's kind of dug in on his guys. And that he promoted Downing because Downing was going to do things the Vrabel way. And then when he had the opportunity to hire Tim Kelly, he was dug in on Downing, so he hired Tim Kelly, but not to be the offensive coordinator. And deep down inside, I'm sure Vrabel probably regrets that because I don't know how he couldn't. The offense is almost dead stinking last in the league. But if you want to sit there and say who hired Todd Downing and who has been supportive of Todd Downing, the answer is not John Robinson or Amy Adams-Strunk. The answer is Mike Vrabel. To me, anything coaching staff related, Ackerman, even though he was a holdover from the previous staff, coaching staff, you blame the coach for that. That's just my.
I mean, that's his guys. And if Mike Vrabel, let's say hypothetically, Mike Vrabel went up to when John Robinson was GM, let's say earlier this season, said, I want to move on from Todd Downing. What's John Robinson going to say?
Oh, yeah, he's not going to say no.
I mean, that's his offensive coordinator.
I mean, he's not going to, no. What's next?
One texter says, the day after the Eagles lost, you were mentioning the topic of firing John a lot. And you were also mentioning Amy isn't like her dad, who was known for being tougher on GMs, coaches, etc. I'm sure there is some insecurity she has as an owner and following in her dad's footsteps. And I say this because Amy probably does sometimes listen to your show, especially after a game.
Okay, well, I mean, if the owner's making decisions based upon what they hear on the Stillman and Company show,
we got problems.
That is something. Now, that being said, I also think that if they were making decisions based on the Stillman and Company show, they would have kept him because we said, like, the bad organizations, somebody's getting fired over this. And when I said that, I was thinking, like, defensive coordinator, like the A.J. Torch just fired the secondary coach. Well, it's not the general manager was going to get fired the next day. I will say this. I agree with Solomon Wilcots. As much as they say this didn't have to do with the A.J. Brown performance against the Titans, I'm not convinced of that. I think it had very much to do with the A.J. Brown performance. It wasn't the number one reason. It wasn't like Amy woke up that Sunday at the Ritz-Carlton in Philadelphia or wherever they stayed, and she was like, I love John Robinson, and then by the end of the day decided she was going to fire John Robinson. I think this had been building, but to say that the A.J. game and the Philadelphia fans sticking their middle fingers up in the box didn't have something to do with it.
Well, the timing implies that it probably would, but that doesn't mean that that's justified. Even if that was a motivating factor for Amy's decision, that doesn't make it the right decision.
Oh, no, and I think Solomon was saying that, and I agree. I echo that exact same sentiment. What's next?
Another texter says, hindsight is 2020. AJ was always hurt, couldn't stop talking. Yes, he was good when he was on the field, but not consistently on the field.
I mean, it looks bad, the AJ trade. And I think my theory on this is that Todd Downing kind of held AJ back a little bit, that we would have probably thought more of AJ if, we thought he was like the 15th best receiver in the league, and now he looks like the 8th best receiver in the league. And there was one scout who told ESPN or GM or something, I can't remember exactly what the talent evaluator's title was, but told ESPN that, hey, I think AJ's still better than he looks right now because, I don't love Jalen Hurts. And, again, that's not me that said that. That's a talent evaluator that said that. And it's like, okay, well, let's put A.J. Brown with Joe Burrow. And then what happens? And we'll never know. But I do think that Downing kind of held A.J. back a little bit. So we thought he was like the 15th best receiver. And there's something going on here. Like, I'm not calling for the medical staff to be fired, but I think the Titans have to change the medical staff at the end of the year.
I mean, when it happens 2 years in a row that the Titans use more players and have had more injured players than any other team in the league, that's no longer a coincidence.
And you trade AJ to draft a younger AJ who doesn't get hurt.
And he gets hurt.
The AJ replacement gets hurt.
But trade AJ
doesn't get hurt.
Right, you trade AJ partly because he couldn't stay on the field. He was always hurt. But
your guy's hurt and
he
AJ's
looks
not
fine
hurt.
in Philly.
I mean, I think there's some real – and again, I know some of the doctors that work for the Titans. They're great doctors.
I'm sure.
One of the doctors that works for the Titans is the best in the world at what he does. So I'm not saying like they need to clean house, but I mean they've got to change something. They've got to change something because this is not right. What's going on with this team for the second year in a row? Like this is not, whether it's the way they're coaching them, whether it's the way, whether it's the trainer in the training room. All these people on Twitter are saying it's the strength and conditioning coach, and I don't think it's the strength and conditioning coach. I don't see how it could be the strength and conditioning coach.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
But the trainer is the one that tells the strength and conditioning coach what he's allowed to do. Like if the trainer says, again, the trainer and the doctors say, okay, this guy's got a bad hip, so he can't do certain exercises. They tell the strength coach, whatever program you design to strengthen this guy up, you can't, that hip, you can't do these exercises with that.
And I know that football's a physical sport and injuries happen.
But it's happening way too much.
This is the same game that every other team in the league's playing.
Yeah, this is too much here. It's not a coincidence.
No.
There's something up. But, again, I don't think the AJ trade is going to be as much of a disaster as everybody makes it out to be. I mean, Burks is a freaking player. I'm convinced that Treylon Burks is a player. Could be wrong.
I like what I see.
I think if he
I
can
think
stay on
Treylon
the
Burks has
field.
looked very promising.
Now, I'm worried about this concussion because it's taken 2 weeks as opposed to, usually the standard concussion's 1 week, and I'm not one to judge head injuries. But this is like I've always said with the star players, you have to be able to trust them on the field, off the field, and to stay on the field. And it's like it's always something with Treylon Burks, which is a big concern of mine. What's next?
Travis Texan says, with the frustrations of some of the leaders on the team, do you think part of that frustration pie is the offensive staff and play calls?
Absolutely.
Yeah. He says, like, Henry is irritated with Downing doing Downing.
There is not. There is no way that Jarek Henry didn't think that he wanted that ball on 3rd down and 2. There is no doubt in my mind that Derrick Henry probably wanted 3rd and 2.
And like the offensive player wins the ball on every down.
Exactly.
But especially that one.
Yeah. Like
when
he's
Derek's
like,
looking at it like, I got this.
I can do this. Give me the ball. And there's no guarantee he would have done it, but I do think that there's a frustration with the coaching staff. And
I'm frustrated with the coaching staff.
I think tonight's coaches show, because last week's coaches show, the theme was, nothing's broken, everything's fine, positive attitudes, we'll be okay. I do wonder what the theme of tonight's coaches show, 6:30 on News 2. I do wonder what the theme of the Vrabel coaches show will be after last week was the everything's fine. What is going to be the theme this week on the coaches show? 615-737-1025 is the phone number. A very popular figure has moved back in town and wants everybody to know about it. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Chase, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of them.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars and by Edley's Barbecue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Partly cloudy skies heading into the overnight. We'll look at temperatures dropping back to around the freezing mark. Another warm day on tap with highs in the low 50s. We'll look for partly cloudy skies, turning mostly cloudy with a few showers. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and every season is screwball season in my house. No matter the time of year, that rich, smooth taste just hits the spot. Y'all know Screwball. It's made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, and it's just flat out delicious. It's my favorite. However you take it, as a shot, in an espresso martini, or a peanut butter old-fashioned, make it a Screwball peanut butter whiskey. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022 Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Hey, it's Hutton. Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off, or get 18 months of no payments. So the first payment is not until spring of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
So guys, it's the holidays again, and that comes with all kinds of fun celebrations and activities. But if you're thinking you'd rather stay home and watch game shows than party, if your sex drive is more like sex neutral, or if you're thinking your dad bod is looking more and more like a Santa bod, maybe your holiday cheer isn't so cheery this year after all. But before you despair, you should know that the culprit might very well be low testosterone. It's a condition that affects us as we age, and it causes all kinds of issues like poor sleep, fatigue, low sex drive, bad workouts, and it can even contribute to ED. The good news is that the medical team at the Tennessee Men's Clinic can likely treat it and get you back to the man you used to be. Low T treatments are highly effective, with most men seeing results in a few weeks. If you're like the majority of guys, you'll sleep better, have better workouts, have much more energy, enjoy a higher sex drive, and generally just feel better. So get your cheer back. Call the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes a medical consult and blood work with results in minutes. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra. Results vary.
The Nashville Jam Company is already a super popular weekend breakfast and brunch destination. But with summer over, it's time to put the beach body away for a while. So for fall, they've expanded their offerings and added what they call the Meat and Three menu. Yeah, cool weather and Southern comfort food go hand in hand. And the stars of this show are the hefty meatloaf, Southern fried catfish, slow-cooked pot roast, fried chicken, Salisbury steak, and a slew of other rib, stick, and delicacies. And they have salads, too, if you're into that kind of thing. Come see the new menu Monday through Friday from 10:30 till 2.
Chase McCabe.
You get a little fired up for that. Pads start popping.
Willie Donick.
And you're just thinking, this guy's unbelievable.
And Derek Mason.
Now I got to run a little bit faster so I don't get hit.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
I'm good. I'm back in Nashville. Moved back right after I was let go by the Islanders and just flipped houses. The taxes in New York can kill you. Tennessee's great for that. So
no doubt.
But it's my home. Let's call it what it is. And so it was very nice to get back to Nashville. I haven't spent a lot of time here yet, just because of family things. And I spent more time in Winnipeg and in Manitoba, I think, this summer than I ever have. So I'm back in Nashville, just trying to get my own life in order and get moved in myself.
Barry Trotz on the Preds official podcast. telling you he's back in Nashville. And I don't know Barry Trotz like everybody else does. I mean, I've interacted with him a couple of times, but he was not the coach when I got back here on the radio. I was a huge Barry Trotz fan as a kid and in college when he was the coach of the Predators. But I find it very suspicious that Barry Trotz has moved back to Nashville. That I don't find suspicious. Everybody's moved back to Nashville. But I find it suspicious that he wants everybody to know that he's moved back to Nashville. And this is an example of that. The other one is NHL Network last week. He did an interview, and he was clearly on his iPad or whatever doing the interview. And in the background, he had a bunch of guitars on the wall and a Titans helmet. And I thought you described it best, where it wasn't like there was a Titans helmet on the shelf.
No.
It was like, here's my Titans helmet.
Right there. It was like if there was a helmet, like literally right behind me, sitting right here if you're watching the stream, and nothing else. Like it was just independently sitting on a table.
So the coach might be in some trouble here, even though David Poyle today on the Midday Show said basically implied the coach is doing a great job. He's putting the puck right in front of the net, and the players are just not putting it into the goal. But common sense would say that, if things don't change, something's going to change, as Hal always consistently says when he joins us on the program. And here's Barry letting everybody know, both on NHL Network and on the Preds official podcast, that Barry's back in town. What do we make of that?
I mean,
you hear it too, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I got a little bit distracted, I'm not going to lie. Well, I don't think that it is subliminal messaging. I don't think that it is something that he did unintentionally. Is it Barry Trotz actively campaigning and hoping for John Hines' demise? Maybe not that far, but I think it's Barry's way of saying, hey, I'm back here. It'd be convenient. I sure did love my time here.
I think Barry's expecting it. Like, I don't know if Barry is, and then the question would be, has Barry been told on the low, hey, hang out, be cool. Just
as Vrabel told Brett Kern.
Here's a bag of balls. I think it was Robinson that told
Maybe
Brett
it was Robinson.
Kern that.
Maybe it was Robinson.
Hate to say this
Here's
for Robinson,
a bag of balls, but you don't sell your house yet.
Don't go too far. And so Barry Trotz, again, on the Preds official podcast, somebody tweeted me and said, I was listening to the Preds official podcast, and I heard that Barry Trotz has moved back to Nashville. Do you think that's a coincidence? And I was like, the fact that he has moved back is probably a coincidence. The fact that he's letting everybody know about it, not a coincidence.
That's not unintentional.
And I wouldn't rule out the fact that somebody maybe said to Barry, like, hey, just hang around at the end of the year. They'll fire the coach. Because I think Barry did another podcast, and Barry said that he's probably not going to coach this year. That he's probably going to take the year off and probably won't get back into it. And I'm like, if John Hines got fired in the middle of the season, I wouldn't want to come back with this roster and try to turn it around or tank to get a better pick.
But I think that would bring fans hope. It's a known commodity.
Oh, yeah, but that'll bring fans hope next year, too.
Yeah.
If they have like a
fans
good
don't
pick.
have to suffer through, a potential couple of years when the coach is trying to bring his system in, so on and so forth.
And David Poyle can save some grace for the fans because a lot of things they've been doing have been very unpopular lately. That's it for us. We're out of here. The Boca Raton Bowl is coming up next.